Yeah. Yeah, they took... It's the Jason Reitman, right? The director, the son of Ivan.
I think didn't they both do some of it?
He did help a little bit.
His father died.
Or like console.
Oh, okay.
His daddy dead.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Now we'll see what they do with the new one they're making, because that one's called Firehouse.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
So they got the sequel already like in the works. So
Cool.
Yeah, I hope they take it as serious as they took Afterlife.
Yeah, right.
for sure.
That's all I know. Or hope. You had to take apart your keyboard?
Somebody who will remain nameless put a guitar pick down the keys.
I always keep my guitar pick right up here.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Me too.
And it's been missing for a while.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, someone who will remain shorter than 3 feet.
He can't hear us right now, but he knows who he is.
He looks at him.
Tim just like glares over at him.
Welcome back to B&B Banter Bros Goes to the Movies. I am Timothy Bennett. Thanks for joining me. This is gonna be a good one. So, joining me is Jason Chandler, dressed in a tuxedo shirt.
Fucking
classing it up for us.
And then you have Aaron Banyan, just looking
what up,
Aaron Banyan-ness. Hey, nothing special.
And he looks great.
Yeah, this is how I always look. Just fucking perfect.
Yeah, if you compare it to like, I don't know, a 3-month, you know, like old pumpkin that's already been carved out, start to fall in on itself, that's what Aaron looks like. So.
What does Rocket say Thor looks like? Fuck, I missed it. There was a line. They're like, "Oh, don't I look like the guy up there?" He's like, "You look like melted cheese or something like that."
I don't remember.
It seems like a small line.
It was really funny for some reason.
All right, yeah. Tonight we're gonna be talking about a big movie.
That's why I got the tux.
The biggest movie that Marvel has put out, and that is Avengers Endgame. This is technically like the part 2.
It's kind of the biggest movie ever.
Oh, it really is. Yeah.
It fucking is.
But this is like the part 2 to the Avengers Infinity War, because this is the second section.
Yeah.
But they're not calling it like a part 1 or part 2.
No.
They're just calling it separate.
Which is appropriate.
Well, I mean, it's an entirely different movie all in its own.
Yeah. It's just a continuation. It's
from the vibe.
I mean, they're all continuations.
The vibe and everything is different from Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Oh, God. And Infinity War was fucking amazing.
Mm.
But this one, oh, man. Nothing will compare. So we decided we're going to do a part 1 and part 2.
Right.
To do this movie,
stand no chance.
Some justice as best as we can. We're going to break it in half. So we're going to be stopping.
We're going to do
part
part 1, part 2.
Yes. And we decided we stopped at an hour and 50 minutes into it, or 55 minutes into it. So
after they get back from the trap.
Their little trip. So let me deal off the details.
Little trip. They shrunk for it. Honey, I Shrunk the Avengers.
Avengers Endgame 2019, PG-13, 3 hours and 1 minute, which is like 10 minutes of credits, to be honest. So.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Well, there's so many fucking people involved in this movie.
Right.
I'm not gonna list any of the cast. It's the same people we've all seen.
Everybody knows.
Too many. Go look it up yourself.
Yep.
There's no one new. There's no introductions.
Anthony Russo and Joe Russo are the ones who created this, and they're fucking amazing.
and they're also in the film.
They're in the film.
I was going to ask that question, but
Well, at least one of them is, and
yeah.
Oh,
and they're two, but both of their daughters are in there. So,
okay.
Oh, no shit.
yeah,
didn't
we
know
can
that.
talk about that in a minute.
All right.
This movie, now this really shows you how big this fucking film was. It was a $356 million budget.
I mean, it fucking shows.
Oh God, yeah.
Money
Now
well
here's
spent.
the crazy part. Opening weekend, $357 million.
That is unsurprising.
That's
Completely
opening weekend.
unsurprising.
I think I saw it twice in the fucking.
Yeah. Yep.
And did not fall asleep at all.
Gross.
Yeah, you didn't
if
get
you
narcolepsy
did,
till later.
if you did fall asleep, you might need to go get checked out for epilepsy or not
Right.
narcolepsy. Yeah.
Well, trust me, I passed out on the way home while I was driving. I was so exhausted. So much goes on in this movie.
Gross
I bet.
was 8,508,000 something.
Wait, no.
So-
go back.
No, your numbers aren't. right.
858.
There we go. 800.
Million.
You said 8 million. It fucked me up. I was like, wait a goddamn minute here.
That's what threw me up. I'm like, wait a
That's
minute.
domestic. 800. All right.
I couldn't fathom all that money. That's why.
Right.
Right.
My
No.
brain shut down and went, what? That's too much.
That's what
it
Patton
shouldn't
Oswalt
exist.
refers to as a sacrilegious amount of money.
Oh my God. Yeah. $858 million. Oh, domestically.
You're right.
Yeah.
Not even, yeah.
What
Worldwide
did the
gross.
world give it?
Worldwide gross. 2,800,000,000.
Hence the bow tie, motherfuckers.
So almost $3 billion
Almost.
worldwide. Damn.
Almost. Yeah. So here's the crazy part, though.
Jesus.
This has so many records that it broke. So many.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
In
bet.
history, like historical film
I
records
can
and
fucking
everything.
imagine.
One of them was that James Cameron's Titanic was #1 film of all
Yeah.
time. This bumped it out. And James Cameron apparently sent a letter with a photo of the Titanic sinking because from the iceberg. And then on the iceberg, there's a picture of the Avengers saying, good job.
That's good.
Here's the mantle.
That's fucking fantastic.
What a thoughtful man.
Hat off to him on that.
Good job, nerd.
Second, some
Or
of this
his production team.
some of those websites out there that you could do the pre-sales on crashed. Like
Oh,
Yeah.
almost
believe,
all
yeah.
of them crashed. This has the #1 pre-sales from the first like 20
Yeah.
minutes that it was out open.
Available for
Completely
pre-sale.
sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that I believe.
Like some of the websites crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's ridiculous. That's how much. Nothing's done. It even beat Star Wars. Star Wars, The Force Awakens was the only other one that compared, and this beat
Oh,
that.
okay.
Well, and this
Fucking
is
crazy.
But this is one of those movies, like, for whatever reason, the Marvel movies compared to Star Wars, for a good bit, were able to appeal to a larger mass than Star Wars.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So, so it's no surprise that this beat out Star Wars. Like, considering the way everybody fucking freaked out about The Force Awakens, but this had such more of a mass appeal to it. I mean, families, kids, even like.
They stuck the landing when it came to the MCU. Like all these movies
it's
we've been talking
great
about.
planning, great production, and
Well,
everything too.
like,
Comic
in
books were a little bit more
Affinity-
relatable than Star Wars because it's just
Yeah.
space. It's
Fair
a
enough.
space opera. It's this massive world. But
Yeah.
comic books spread out, and everybody can find a comic or something that
for-
they're interested in.
But for
Yeah.
everybody to pick and choose which Marvel movie they like and don't like whatever it is, this is the fucking Endgame.
Yeah.
And fucking so everybody had to check out their favorite characters and see how they played out, and they used them all so appropriately.
especially
and
if you see
so
Infinity
everybody
War.
wans as an audience member on this film.
God,
If
yeah.
you see Infinity War, you have to watch this movie because
Yeah.
you can't just leave it how it ends at Infinity War.
cliffhanger,
Right.
and they did it intentional. So originally they were going to
Yeah.
conclude, they were going to do it like after. Oh no, they were going to stop at the snap, and then that was going to be the end of it. You didn't see anything else, and then it was going to pick up on this one. That was the way they initially wrote it, and they were going to do it, and then they decided, no, after the snap, let's continue a little bit and see the devastation
Yeah.
that happened, and then we stop it.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think that's just fucking awesome. It was so good. It was good that they could think. My
a little
head
choppy
like
there.
hurts trying to comprehend all these people that are involved in building this story and keeping the concise, making it concise and comprehending everything. And this film just proves that it was worth all of it. Like they just fucking, the work was worth it. Everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
I applaud
Exactly.
every single fucking person that had a hand in making this film.
And I think that's
Like-
part of the fucking enjoyment of this film. Is like how many years? Fucking. This movie came out when? 19 or
2019.
2019. Yep.
So yeah, that's 9 years of. Right. Iron Man came out 2010.
2008.
8. Oh shit, that's 11 years of fucking. Good stuff.
Building. Well,
Build-
I mean,
building, yeah.
you think of the fact that when Iron Man 1 came out, they hadn't planned any of this shit. So
Right.
once they figured out Iron Man 2 was when they started building, really.
Fair enough, but still, like, 11
it wasn't
years of
until-
sticking with it and giving a fuck and not liking
Yeah.
this and liking that, and then all of a sudden they come at you with this awesome conclusion.
And it wasn't
after
until the
Infinity Wars.
it wasn't
Fucking
until
A.
Avengers that they realized that we got it. We
Yeah,
got
they,
him.
they figured out the formula. We're like, okay,
Yep.
let's run with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now we can do whatever we want. Actually, that wasn't until Disney bought them, and then they were like, we could do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So
All the
And they-
money
and they
in
have-
the
we're
world.
untouchable.
Some of the newer stuff is proof that that's what they're doing now. It's like, we're just going to fucking do whatever we
A
want.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. To start off tonight, I've got some shit that we're gonna talk about. So,
All right, host.
oh my goodness.
tonight.
So, right away, this first section, and I'm glad that we stopped where we did. This first section was all about emotional impact,
Yeah.
and it was just
in
an
so many
emotional,
various ways.
yeah. And I think that they did a phenomenal job
Yeah.
right off the bat. So, like, we get each character has like an emotional breakdown or emotional spot or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
Some more than
emotional
others, maybe.
beats.
Are you
we
trying
talk
to
about
say,
beats
like,
a lot.
The way they formed this world so desolate, it like was the powerful depression. Like the world was empty as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've seen this before
and it
in
made
other
me
films.
feel. Well,
and you don't
whatever.
necessarily
That's
get the same
irrelevant.
concept.
But the way it hit home was like, oh my god, this world is fucked. Like it is desolate, and it reminded me of COVID lockdown times when I was driving to work as an essential worker, traffic free, doors closed on businesses, like this and that. What's up, Aaron?
I think some of it is the nuances they use to convey the desperation. Like,
Yeah.
there is an inherent lack of music in the beginning
Yes.
of this, and a lack of music, lack of noise in general. Really,
Just
that like
We
silence.
talk about that.
conveys a lot of the
Sound of
heaviness of
silence.
the heaviness of this
Yep.
feeling.
So that's the nuance that we get, but
How deep and dark it is.
that doesn't really talk about the characters. That just talks about the feel of
Yeah,
The
th-
world.
that's just
Get
that's
from
just
the
a
scene.
tone.
Yeah.
That's just a
of
tone
the
it
scene.
sets.
But the
Let's get to
character
the
emotional
characters.
beats is what I want to know.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
we have every single character that we
Yes.
get has something. And that's what I want to talk about. This is the primary concept I want to talk about in this episode is our characters because that's what we get.
Okay.
Everything else is obviously important, the story and all this, but it's the characters that are so
for sure.
important at this point.
And Stark
and-
is the first one to last show, right?
Well, Stark's the first one we build on for emotional beats, just because his is like the kind of the catalyst almost.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I see what you're saying, where he's taking his message and stuff. But
Right.
the first
Sorry to
person we
interrupt.
get,
Yeah.
who do we get?
Oh, right
Who's
off
the first
bat?
person that we see. Yep. We get Clint.
Oh God,
We got
that's right.
Hawkeye.
I completely
He's
forgot.
the
Oh,
very
my
first
God.
thing. We don't get any credits. We don't get anything that builds up. It just starts off with
With him,
Hawkeye,
that's
with
where,
Clint.
Yeah.
with his family. That's right.
Yep,
I forgot
showing
about
his
that for a
daughter.
Me
second.
too. It happens so
how to
fast.
shoot a
and-
bow.
Yeah.
Now, to me, this was one of my favorite scenes because it was so impactful in so many ways. It set the tone for everything.
Set
what
the
you were
tone
gonna
for
get.
Ronan.
And what's crazy? What's I think more impactful of this scene versus like all the other scenes that you see during the snap, where like they turn to Ash or whatever is there's no Ash even. It's literally they're just not there.
Right.
And
That's a
that
good point.
idea that like he doesn't even see them disappear, they're just gone.
Confused
I think
is all hell.
as a family man who loves his family, like the idea that you don't even know what happened, they're just disappeared, is much more heart wrenching than even watching them fade like you would have, like we did in Infinity War.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
think
they
it's
don't
that
waste
much
any
worse.
time in
Right.
this. Like I said, no wasting time. They're just let's dive into it. But one thing that we get is we get an understanding of the moment. It was in the moment that the blip happened. Elsewhere is where Thanos did it. This is Clint at his own home, not being a part of the fight, and we see him just being a family dad. And it was that moment where he turns around and then he goes back and you see a puff of dust, but he doesn't see it. He doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
And that was that
Exactly.
moment. Fucking, like, right there. Just a goddamn anvil in the face.
Well, it's like he's a superhero, realistically speaking, and like, but essentially this is just a Tuesday for him.
Yeah.
Like this isn't him like fighting and like
This is his
seeing it
day
happen
off.
like in the midst. Yeah, he wasn't doing
it's-
anything. He was with his family, and it just happened without him knowing.
And they vanish, but he doesn't know why or how. But all he knows is they're no
They're
longer
gone.
there.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
that's
got to
what
be
I-
way more fucking devastating than watching them
And that's what I mean. like,
vanish
the-
and knowing why. You
Yeah.
know,
the
he's
not
a
knowing is probably
retired
what kills him
Yes.
the most.
Exactly what I'm
And-
trying to say. Yes.
And that's why this was I think this is the most brilliant way to start this film.
Yeah. It sets the fucking tone of this
Yep.
desolate world we're about to fucking enter. Yeah.
Now,
And this
you said
depression,
something
yeah.
about the lack of music. There's no music
Yeah.
in this scene.
smart
In this
choice.
introduction. Yes. You don't
Makes
see
it
it now.
heavier. Makes
Now.
it, yeah.
You also talked about sound, and this is the pinpoint part where you get the background, you get the countryside, crickets and birds and things
Yeah.
like that. You know, it's a later night, probably like 7 o'clock in the country somewhere ever. And then that moment that he turns around and you see the puff of his
Yeah.
daughter just disappearing, the
he doesn't
sound,
see.
the sound
Drops out.
drops out. You don't hear
Yeah.
anything. You don't hear any of the birds. And that's that moment that the fucking blip happened. And it's just, it's like I said, it hits you like a bag of anvils right in the face.
Yeah.
Right in the
For sure.
emotional section. It's just,
It's just it's an emotional body shot to start the movie off.
oh my God. Yeah. And I love Jeremy Renner's. I think he's great.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he had what I would call an emotional thing. It was more of just like a confused panic.
In that moment,
Yeah.
but he ended
But
up being very
It's
emotional.
the reaction
God,
of any
yeah, yeah.
It's the reaction of any father, like in that
Yeah.
situation. Like when your kids are missing all of a sudden, you don't
And
you panic and
we-
go into like a search mode.
Yeah,
which is
and
exactly
that's-
what he did.
And I
One
thought it
thing
was
we
so
learned-
appropriate.
We learned this in Infinity Wars, or is it Ultron, where we like establish he loves his fucking family like to no end, and that kind of they use Natalie.
Ultron is when
Natasha.
Ultron
As a
is when they Ultron's when they find
Yeah.
out that like he keeps his family off the map.
They hide out
Like,
at his place, right,
knows
for a
about
minute,
it.
right?
Yeah. No
But,
one
like-
knows about his family. No one knows he has a farmhouse. Like no one is supposed to know about this family.
Yeah.
But they use the relationship between him and Nat like it's not they have these weird like flirtatious moments, but it's not like that. And then when you get to the house, you realize why it's like that. Like he loves his family to no
Oh,
end.
yeah.
There's no fucking with that. Nat won't fuck with that. That's not even in the cards. So my point being is like during our adventure through this MCU, we learned that he is like the number one family man. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
so to
And-
see him lose that, we all connect with that and
Well,
understand his fucking pain and confusion and his reaction in
It was-
the next few minutes.
It was such a
talked.
haunting scene.
Yes.
And
Very
it stuck,
haunting.
And not just for the audience, but the
yeah.
character. And
Yeah, it's
it
a
haunts
very-
him.
It's,
And that's
it could
all
be
it
in
does
a
is it
horror
haunts
movie
him.
type of thing or
Oh, yeah.
suspense or something.
If-
yeah.
If you had the right music,
M. Night Shyamalan shit.
yeah, if you had the right music,
If he
this would
was
have been
good
like a
still.
thriller concept.
Yeah.
Like just,
Yeah, there we
boom,
go,
Nobody's
yeah.
there. It's like, what the fuck?
It was a more impactful. It was a more impactful version of The Happening.
Oh, I want to start in that one.
All right. No distraction.
So we basically just broke down why we feel. I don't know. Feel it. We feel Clint. We understand the position he's in, especially because we're all family people and all this. Well, what about some of the other characters that we get? So we do get, like I said, each of them get their own thing. But after this scene, which is 14 minutes? No, not 14. It's not quite that long. We get the credit scenes
So
of
it's like 10
the
minutes,
Marvel,
I think.
the Marvel credit scene right after that scene.
Which is
And
also
then we still don't even
quiet.
get the credits. Then it goes into Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man and Nebula in the spaceship.
Yep.
Yep.
What
Were
was
they
the
left off on Titan? Is that? Yeah.
yeah?
They're not even on a planet anymore. They're just
Oh, they're
Well, no,
just
but they
floating.
left off in Infinity Wars. They
yeah.
were on Titan, and then they're trying to find their way home. Now, what was the cause? Why were they in space?
the fuel cells were cracked, I believe he said, but they
were
figure out a way.
floating.
They figure out
Yeah.
a way to fix it. It gets them 48 hours of flight time. That's what it gets. But then the systems are shutting down.
They're dead and they're floating. They're
dead in
drifting
the
in
water.
space. Yep.
Yeah.
Dead space. No.
Drift away.
Good game. Yeah.
The why was this such a pertinent episode?
Wait, what?
There's a couple reasons. There's a couple reasons.
Marvel?
That I
It's
noticed.
it plants Nebula as
Captain
like
Marvel?
being somewhat important to the story because I mean, like to think that she's one of the few Guardians of the Galaxy characters that like made it. She's seems important at that point. But you get the sense of like where Robert Downey Jr. is emotionally because he
He's
mentions
about
it
to
in-
give up.
Well, no, he's not about to. He is giving up.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he doesn't think he's gonna make it.
That's why he makes his last message.
He's making those tapes. Like
Yeah.
it sounds like he recorded more than one. But
Fair
like
enough,
so
yeah.
that's why he's recording was because he's like he didn't think he was gonna make it. He's like he's just hoping he can get his thoughts out to Pepper and that she finds it somehow.
Yep.
But like him and Nebula form a bond
Yeah.
because they're the survivors of the stuff on Titan.
It's
Stranded
all
for
they have.
23 days.
Yeah.
Each other. Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
one of the things I noticed that I love about this scene, or about this whole section, was Nebula. Had nothing to do
Yeah.
with Iron Man. Like, it was great. He had his moments. The fact that
Yeah.
you see Robert Downey Jr.
But you knew
too
he was gonna-
sink
You
in.
see-
He's
You see crazy emotional growth out of Nebula.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a scene where like they're eating. He like tries to hand her the bag of food because they're rationing, and she pushes it back to him because she knows he needs it more.
Right.
Whereas the old Nebula would have just taken the whole thing for herself.
even if she needs to eat, we don't even know if she needs to eat.
Yeah,
Who
right.
knows?
But,
But what I found interesting was we get somebody that we've seen up until Volume 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. We've seen somebody who's basically just like a monster, I guess,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term.
Baby tantrum monster or jealous fucking induced.
We see emotion, but it's mostly
yeah.
kind of rage and jealousy
Reaction.
and
Yeah.
impulsive and
Yeah, there
you know,
it
very
is.
childlike. But she's
it's petulant, I believe,
yes,
is the right
yeah,
word.
that's it. Yeah, that's
there it
perfect.
is.
Because she's
Thank you,
trying
ma'am.
to get in Thanos' good graces.
Yeah.
She's just kissing his ass left and right.
Oh,
and
shit.
she wants
they
to be
show
the
that
good
shit
child.
later.
But one thing about this episode I love is that Iron Man creates a bond, like we talked about, with Nebula. Or Tony Stark, I should say. Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And it humanizes Nebula, which is something that we don't get until Volume 2. And the only
Right.
humanization that we get from Volume 2 is her confessing and accepting that she just wanted a sister.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the
After
only
a
time
fucking
that we
huge
ever see
tantrum.
her be humanized, that have a true sense of emotions that are her own selfish emotions and not for somebody else or something
So
else.
that incident in Volume 2 sets her up for being prepared for this fucking humanization in
Yeah.
yeah.
It starts the growth. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
this, I think, was a very poetic scene.
Yeah.
Paper football. The paper football, I think, is probably the easiest
That-
place to see it because of the way he treats her. Like he teaches her, like, she reacts like poorly, like she tries to
Yeah.
swat the football away. He's like, that's not necessary. He's patient.
Yeah.
And he's like, he even says, like, he's like, you got a chance to win. Like, here you go. And he's like, and you won. And he shakes her hand. He doesn't make her compete. He doesn't put her down. He approaches her and treats her in an equal manner, which is not something she's used to, which I think is another humanizing point.
Well, because
To be fair, he's very low on energies, but yeah.
He's shifted her way of thinking, which is always competitive,
yeah.
to a simple leisureness.
Yeah.
You can have fun. You don't have to be always on guard. You don't have to
it's
be
not
so
always-
aggressive. Step back. And
It's not dog eat dog all the time.
no, but he does it in a sense of, like you said, passion. He's very compassionate about her, caring, temperamental, not getting mad, keeping his shit cool,
Patient.
very patient. It's like a child,
'cause he's
but not
tired.
like a baby, but just a child. Somebody
Yeah.
like you're trying to teach your son how to play catch.
He almost
thing.
is projecting something from Peter onto her, would be my guess.
Maybe. I think
It's-
though.
it's-
I think
to
though,
some
this-
degree.
I think this comes down to a lot of a lower level.
Yeah.
Because Peter, he was treating like a kid or teenager trying to be an adult. In this case, I feel like she's treating him or her more like a young child trying to learn something new.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I
in
just think that
general.
like he might be in some way, shape, or form
like-
projecting a little bit.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
like trying
the
to make up because he knew what he lost.
Yeah, because
and
he
then got
lost
something-
Peter, and like
yeah.
he's like, okay, well, this is what
I
I
can
got.
see that. Yeah, as in a emotional situation or state that he's in as a
Yeah.
character, I think that would be a good.
Because he's also at this point, he's also in Infinity War. He has made it clear that he is ready to have a child with
Yeah.
Pepper.
Yeah.
So I think there's bits and pieces of that lend into like how he's treating Nebula.
Yeah, we get that in the beginning of Infinity Wars.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
He's
His time
straight out said, "I had a
to
dream."
be abandoned
Yeah.
in space, like that was the worst. After
Right.
the conversation and the confession, and
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
even says it.
They
He's like,
understand-
I know I said no more surprises, but I was really hoping I could pull one more off.
yeah, yeah. So that I'm sure that fucking hurt his heart more than ever, and is lingering
Right.
still.
So in
in
this,
that
we
moment.
do. What are the emotional beats that we get off of these two characters?
Well, I mean, obviously Tony's moving into, I guess would be despair would be the right way to say it. He's kind of just he's acknowledged that like he's not going to make it,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he's giving up.
he's accepting.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's giving up. He's just the position that he's
Splitting
in
hairs.
is so hard to go. Hey, I can hold on more. Just knowing how fragile and how far they've had to linger too. Like he's lost all the weight.
he's only
at this
giving
point
up because he
starving.
know there's no more.
Right. I don't mean giving up in
left.
that big
Yeah.
negative sort of connotation, but like
Exactly.
he's giving up the fight. Like he's just there's no
Yeah.
point in
Yeah,
fighting anymore.
so
Like,
I've-
it's time
He's
to
accepting. Yeah, he's accepting
There we go.
his fate.
for sure.
He's
Grief,
making
the
truth
final
God.
stage.
I feel like Nebula is in that weird state where she's still stuck in her old ways a little bit, but like you can tell that she doesn't want, like she has genuine affection for Tony,
Yeah.
especially when
watch-
she finds him sleeping and
Watching him suffering, yeah,
yeah, like
Well-
having treated him, like him being the only one like with her, like there's the way he's treated her. She has genuine affection for him because of all that, and so like watching him slowly give up, I think is hurting her in a way that
Yeah,
like, she's
yeah,
really
and
not
we
showing.
see the compassion that she has for him. So
Yeah.
it's a give and take. Like Tony was giving it to her, now she's giving it back to him, and we see that when he passes out or when he
Yeah.
wants to take a nap. What does she do?
yeah,
She puts him in the captain's seat,
Yeah.
puts his jacket over him,
hmm
and just stands there and like kind of like brushes his face or something, like his cheek or something.
Yeah, I thought she
It's-
like touched his chest or something like that. Just kind of like,
it's
and
you
a
can
comfort
feel
move is what
yeah.
it was.
And the
Yeah.
music helped so much because this is sad, somber triumphantness, almost like a death of a hero. And that's
Yeah.
what we're supposed to kind of feel.
Heroic sacrifice.
And I think in this point where you see Nebula, you don't, there's no emotion. You're not supposed to
She
have the
doesn't.
emotion.
She does not emote really.
No, but
which kind of
it's
makes
the
it.
action.
Yeah.
What was that, Jason?
Yeah, Her being a robot or more 80%
Cyborg,
robot.
I think cyborg is basically the proper term.
And then showing that emotion it kind of helps.
Yeah.
Like
And
it's
it's-
not her style, and it's not how she was built, and she can't help herself. The moment is that intense that she is feeling it. Yes.
Yeah. And do you think it worked? Do you think it hit its mark?
Oh,
I think
fuck
that's.
yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
did great.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great scene. Up until the salvage or the saving, I thought it was a great scene.
No.
Yeah, all I thought when I saw Captain Marvel come and do whatever, I was like, this is the reason for that movie we just watched.
I think I liked it. I didn't mind it because you get a sense of him. He's accepted his fate, and at this point, it's very angelic. Not saying that it's a religious tone, but it has that kind of. Here's an angel, a bright light
noble.
coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they did sell it like an angel, like just coming from the okay.
And the look that she gave too was
I hate all her looks.
I saw it. I got it. I got exactly what we were supposed to feel. I felt that.
Yeah.
I felt that sense of like, here you are, thank God, but like the heart's broken, knowing, just seeing how he is and knowing where
his
they.
look. Yeah.
It was a very stone, just one way look, but I don't know. I felt it. The whole scene.
He had no
worked.
more energy left to like, I don't know.
Yeah. She doesn't know him otherwise, right?
No.
Yeah, she's never met him before. Okay.
Nope.
Just making sure.
And
Obviously,
here, we'll talk about it later. I see what you're thinking.
obviously, coming back was a big thing, but the next emotional beat that we get from a character would be
Tony Stark.
It's still Tony,
No.
but this is.
What?
Oh no, yeah. I mean, you get.
Oh, wait.
Steve and
Nope.
Natal.
yeah. Continue.
Oh, the peanut
you
butter
get-
jelly sandwich.
No,
thing?
that's after. This is when,
Oh, yeah,
when she
yeah.
brings him home and Steve greets him at the drop off point or whatever. Like you get Steve being like, "Oh, thank God you're there" or whatever. I forget what it's all saying per se, but there's that emotional beat of like relief and like some gratitude that he's alive, even though like Steve still
That
knows
was
everyone else
like
is gone.
the best Tony Stark and Cap moment. Like their connection where like you guys do respect and adore each other or whatever. That was the one small moment where like you guys do love each
you
other.
get that great exchange between them because
Respect
you
each
have
other.
during the hug you have Tony going, "I lost the kid,"
Yeah.
and then Steve just goes, "We lost."
Yeah.
Like it's not that you lost one thing, we lost everything.
Yeah.
Like and that's the heaviness of that scene is like Steve and Tony just trying to like suss out positive emotions while being like, "Yo, like this shit's not good." At the same time, it took me a moment to remember the scene that well.
Yeah.
But
It's a good setup for the malnourished Tony Stark scene.
You understand at this point. It's a really good scene to have because you're understanding the level that both of them and basically everybody's on.
So I'm
And they're
saying,
all over the place, but this is that moment where you equalize everything to go, this is where they stand, this is where they stand.
get
And
on
it
the
really
same
comes down
page.
to, Tony Stark has a resentment because he actually believed everything Captain America was saying, which is why he called him a liar.
Yeah.
no trust, liar.
Yeah, because he believed everything. And that's the whole point of Captain America being the leader. Being the leader of the Avengers is he's supposed to.
Yeah.
But he's also human,
Well, and
humanesque.
there's the argument of like what was
Superhuman.
Cap supposed to do? Like Cap did all he could at the outset, and
But,
know-
but Tony
that's-
doesn't know that. Yeah.
You can't help
Yeah.
yourself.
No, and that's
Being a
what I mean.
human,
Like
you're
he
bound to
takes-
blame and find reasons and
he
make
gets all
excuses.
that dropped on himself. Is
Yeah.
because he doesn't
Yeah.
know that half the world is gone. He just knows who's gone from Titan.
Yeah, exactly. And then he gets
And that's where they kind of fill him in. Oh, well, Thanos did exactly what he said he was going to do, and 50% of all
That's
creation
when
is
he-
gone. Yeah.
He has his breakdown moment, which I think is well deserved.
Yeah.
He's fucking 23 days stressed and fucking crazed. He's oh my god.
So
it's
the
a little
emotional-
ridiculous, but I felt all the words and all the.
And that emotional beat, yeah, like you said, Aaron, it would
Yeah.
be. I agree. I feel like it's Iron Man would be the next again, because Captain that really doesn't apply until later.
Right.
He
Yeah.
you understand where he
After the 5 years.
stands, but like it's more of a he's accepted what's happened, and like he doesn't
And
like
this
it.
Because he's
just-
trying to be. He's
This boils down to that conversation they have in the first Avengers when Coulson dies and Tony and
Yeah.
Cap goes, yeah, have you never lost a man before? Like, you never
Yep.
lost a soldier? Like, we're not soldiers.
I have that in my
Like,
notes.
That's what Steve is used to because he's been in war. He knows what happens. There are casualties. He gets that. So he's able
Yeah.
to process it a lot different than Tony is.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have that in my notes, that exact same thing, because that's how he treats it. Is this is a casualty of war. This
and he
happened.
can't
we
help
lost.
himself. Part of his personality and is to stick to the silver lining and find the bright side and like even in the darkest of times.
I don't even know if it's silver lining. I think it's just
Yeah, I don't
he
feel right
can't
about that
show
either.
because of his people who
Yes.
are he's leading.
Yes.
He can't
He's
show
gotta
it.
stay strong.
Yes. Yeah.
Because of his
He's gotta
position
lead by
of
example.
leadership.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
It's stubbornness,
understandable.
but it's stubbornness.
Well, he's
for
doing
a
it for the
righteous
greater
reason.
good. Yeah,
For,
exactly.
Yeah,
for,
for
for a
reason.
very
I like that.
purposeful, very purposeful reason. It's
Yes.
just it takes a toll, and Cap does it great. He really does.
Yeah.
That's why he looks so stone cold all the time, and he doesn't get so emotional
Yeah.
because he can't. It has
He's
to
all
be all up in here. He can't
It's all
act
very
in here all the
Spockish.
time.
Yeah, because if he lets it affect him outwardly, then his troops see it.
Everyone
and
Oh my
they-
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
That
affects
guy would
morale
be in
of
the corner
unit.
crying all the time, surrounded by punching
God,
bags.
yeah.
Fucking
Yep.
He has plenty to cry about.
exactly.
yes.
Even the
The
conversation
only
we get
time he
later
seems,
about him losing his love, he doesn't. You
Yep,
know,
I
you
was
see
just
it, but
gonna
it's
say,
like
He says it with like a regretful smile on his face.
and
It's
that's
just a
the
matter of fact.
saddest you ever see him like express himself. And so, yeah, that's just an example of yes, Tim. Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
the guy staying strong for the right reasons.
we saw a shift from Tony, however long it took for him to get back to Earth. We saw him in despair, accepting fate, just basically laying down and ready to die.
Yeah,
To now he's saved, but there's no hope.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like that hope was like, why did you even bother? Just you should have left me there.
And that's why I think
Kind of
his,
concept. And then he's so
his,
angry and
his tantrum is well deserved. He's like,
Yeah.
you motherfuckers, I told you we needed a shield around this planet Earth, and I tried to prevent this, and blah, blah, blah. You didn't listen. And then that whole, like, Cap, you said we would lose together, and
but
you weren't there. I was
Yeah.
like, I was like, you motherfucker.
No,
No, because
It-
Cap starts to say it's like we need, and he's like,
yeah.
no, I needed
yeah.
you.
Cap's
I
all,
needed you.
Cap's all business and military and strategy at this point. Like, what information can you give me from Thanos? You fought him. You talked
Yeah.
to him. You know, he was just trying to
no
be
information.
strategic about it, not emotional, as we just established.
What's he
And
saying? He wiped my
Tony
face with the
Stark
planet?
was
He wiped
not.
my face. Oh,
Yes.
So you fought Thanos? No. Who told you
Yeah.
that? There was no fight.
So
He
we
wiped my
got
face
Cap
with the
being
planet.
strategic. We got Tony Stark being emotional. They're not on the same page again when it comes to that shit, and it's very understandable.
You also
No.
have Thor in the corner, kind of looking
Brooding.
Wait, no.
morose.
Thor's
Yeah,
not there
brooding.
yet.
Yes,
oh
he
yeah,
is.
he
He's
is.
just sitting in
yes,
the
he
corner
is.
the whole
It was
time.
before we
'Cause-
before we
And
get
Tony
big
even
Thor.
goes like, "What's his problem?" He's like, Rocket goes, he thinks he failed, which he did.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of that going around.
Yeah. And then he responds, well, I swear, for a moment ago, I thought you were a Build-A-Bear. And he just
Yeah,
responds,
yeah.
well, maybe I am.
Yeah, they threw some appropriate, sarcastic,
threw the
character-driven
common
jokes in
Tony-
here,
The
and
common
yeah.
Tony
it
Stark
kinda
snark
felt-
is what they got.
it
Char-
kind of felt
character.
a little unsettling or not right. But
No, like
I
you
don't
said,
know,
Jason. Like you said, they didn't break the character. It was proper character dialogue.
Yeah, he can't help
Yeah, it-
himself. Right?
Between
yeah.
Rocket and Tony, those guys tend to have those reactions even in
Yeah.
bad situations. Like they're not serious per se.
Exactly, they can't help.
So they
themselves.
constantly use sarcasm and
As a
humor as like defense
deflective-
mechanism.
Yeah.
It's a defense mechanism.
But the weight was so heavy, I was just like, is now the time for jokes? But now that we talk about it, you're right. The characters themselves cannot help themselves. So it was very necessary to have those lines in there.
So at that point, we already had Civil War, which we understand there was a conflict. There's, they looked at things differently and this and that.
Yeah.
So on this side, it almost felt like another Civil War. You almost had the same tension, just amp it up about tenfold because we're in a whole other situation.
Yeah. I don't know. It was more of like a domestic verbal dispute. I don't know. Instead of
it was Tony feeling like he was betrayed.
getting shit off their chest.
Well, it felt
Instead of
just like
like-
they did in Civil
Instead
War
of going
when
to
they were in
Germany
the
and
conference
fighting about
room
it.
and talking about the
Yeah.
pen. It was the same
Yeah,
kind of
I know.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah, and it's Tony feeling betrayed and Cap feeling like he's
We
doing
have to
the
make
right
the best
thing.
out of this.
Yeah.
Well, how can
He-
we fix this or whatever?
Yeah, Cap is doing what Cap does, which is like he's
Yeah.
going forward.
both-
He doesn't
yeah.
go back. He goes forward. He tries to do what's right from there, and Tony feels betrayed all at the same time. So like they're just butting heads over it.
Yeah.
Once again, as they do, and it's totally understandable. I understand each side equally.
Well,
is all
and
I'm
we'd
saying.
mentioned this before. It's two alphas trying to take the chain of
Yeah.
command for different sections. One's a big brain, one's just charisma,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I don't know. It just doesn't work.
one's basically a CEO, the other's a soldier, and they're both like alphas for different reasons.
Question I have though for you guys in this scene, who did you feel like you were leaning with? Did you feel
No.
like Captain was in the right kind of set of
I
mind,
was-
like he was going
I
the
was
right,
even at-
doing it the right way, or going about it the right way, or do you feel like Tony Stark's justification was acceptable to just say, "Hey, just fucking give up," because that's what he was telling him. Just go hide, go fucking give up and hide.
Yeah.
It's over.
I've already
So
said
how
my
do
piece.
you-
I already said my piece. I understand these characters. I understand who they are and the way they think. So I'm equal on each side of them. Like what they did, like neither is right or wrong. Like they're just. I can't choose one or the other. It's not Civil War in that sense.
I agree that I understand both sides because of understanding the characters. But if I'm gonna give a legit human reaction,
Yes, that's what I want.
I'm not a soldier. My legit human reaction would probably be the same as Tony's. If I had gone through what Tony went through, I'm just a guy. I'm not a super soldier. I'm not a
saying.
god. I'm just a dude. I'm gonna have the same reaction. I'm like, give up. Like, we lost. Fucking tuck your tails and run. Like that's it. Game over. Like that would be my exact response. I don't know that I would have gone
But
out of
that's
my way to be
not-
like, you're a liar. I don't trust you anymore.
But
But
that's
I
why
would've
they
been like, I'm
needed
out.
each other and they needed that conversation and for them to have their both sides of the coin, because I don't know.
See, and Aram, I looked at it
Fuck
the
it.
same way as you did. I really did. But Jason, I think that that's the one thing that you got to separate is not the, you got to look at it as a character point, not as a viewer necessarily, as who would you be in a position if you were in those shoes?
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, like are you gonna
I'm-
react like
I'm
Cap or are
an
you gonna
elf.
react like Tony?
I'm an elf. I a fucking emotional little fella. I definitely would have reacted like fucking Tony Stark. I definitely would have. It's
And
I'm a drama queen, so yeah.
I have to agree 100%. I think that's the most natural thing to do.
It's exactly
Right.
the most human thing. There's
And
no
that's
getting
what I mean,
around it.
like,
And that's the important part about that scene.
Yeah.
I think, is that you're dealing with the human who has just a big brain and a bunch of money, and he's very intelligent and can do things. But for the most part, he failed off of everything he could provide, and he
Yeah.
failed.
And
well,
tried
and,
to
and
prevent-
like, he hasn't had to deal the same way that Cap has. He's never
Yeah.
been in a war.
Nope.
He hasn't lost the love of his life. And he didn't come through the same
Oh,
things that
yeah.
Cap did. Like, Cap is molded by all the experiences he's had, same way Tony's molded the same way by
Cap's
his
got
experiences. Cap's got so much on him as far as
thick
experiences
skin.
go in that
Thick skin.
respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Thick
got thick
skin.
skin because he's been
so
through
many
it.
years of it. Yes.
Yep.
Been
Been
through it, been
bullied his
abused,
entire
whereas,
life.
like-
He was this
Yeah.
little weakling. All this stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this
And
was a
so
gift that was
where-
given
That's
to
how
him.
you understand that they're that's why they're wired different. Is the
Yeah.
experiences they go through. So You can't say that you'd be Cap because I mean you don't go through what Cap went through.
No.
That's not reality.
And that's an excellent point. And I didn't even think about that, but now you're saying it.
Right.
Yeah, Tony has been given his gift and everything that he has, he's been able to use. But Captain, or I should say, Tony's gift was birth. Like, his brain is all this stuff. He's just, it's a natural
Tony
thing.
had it.
Yeah,
and
he had
used
it. But Captain, he was given a gift and he took that gift and used it and applied it in every situation he can. Because he didn't have anything. But what he had was that heart. And we talked about that grit and that heart. The gumption that he had to be able to stand up to a bully, anything, in his physical lack of, or if you will, physical condition, and go, I can do this all day.
No, it was polio, I think, or something. He had some sort of I think he had polio or scoliosis or something like that.
Okay.
He had
everything.
shit wrong.
He had everything.
He was fucked from word go.
But that's what makes Cap a perfect Cap, is because he never gave up, even in that situation. But Tony, he doesn't know what it's like to be down at the bottom.
True.
Right.
He's always been given
He
everything.
only felt at the bottom because of fucking aliens and Thanos, so he was trying to fucking shield
he
the
went
Earth,
through some shit.
which is a whole different thing, and it's not comparable. But,
but
it's a different degree. Yeah.
That's the kind of shit that happens when you think you're bigger than the world, and then all of a sudden the universe shows you you're only a small piece.
That's funny.
That's a humbling experience.
Once again,
and some people don't respond that well to it.
No, and this is a perfect example of that. Tony did not respond. But once again, this is why Captain America is the leader.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he can make those decisions. He can do those things. He can keep pushing no matter what the case
He can give those speeches.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's down the road, but yeah. Around the corner.
Let's move on. So
we should
we've
because
been talking about this for a while.
We've been talking for like
this is why we're
50
doing a
minutes
part
and we
one.
got through the first 3 scenes. Like what the fuck?
This is
we're
why-
not even 30 minutes into this movie yet.
This is why we're
this
doing it the
movie.
way we're doing it.
What's
There's
next,
so
Tim?
much.
Give it to me.
So the next section we get, like Tony falls and he goes and whatever.
Yeah.
But their next step is they find Thanos.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So Thor
Which,
doesn't say a fucking thing. And
I love
Bree,
how
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel,
Carol Danvers.
Carol, there it is. They all like go, oh yeah, we know where Thor is, this and that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what are we gonna do? We're gonna go. Or
But
Carol goes, I'm gonna
Rocket-
go Caleb.
Rocket of all people says, hey, there was this fucking big energy burst over here. And he was also stuck on Titan, wasn't he?
No, he was
where'd
down
Rocket
with,
come from?
He was
'Cause
he was down on Earth with Groot.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So they
were fighting.
Yeah,
Because he was holding Nebula's hand, and I thought
Guardians
maybe
had
he
to
was on the
split up
ship.
between,
my bad. My bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, and
So,
so,
yeah,
what
they
Rocket
they
does.
find-
What Rocket does is they say like, oh, there was like when the snap happened, it became the epicenter
burst
of
of
like
energy,
a burst of energy, and they measured it like it fanned out throughout the universe. They said that's only happened again 2 days ago.
Yep.
Exactly.
So that was
Like,
how they
that's where
found
he's at.
Thanos.
Yeah.
And Carol decided, well, I'm gonna go fucking do this because it's kind of what she does. She's a lone wolf kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's when Natasha goes, hey, we're just as fragile, like, but we kind of do this as a team.
Yeah, yeah. We're like, well, we know. I think Natasha was like, I know, or we know that that's really your area of expertise, like versus us.
up there.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, up there. But like, we usually do this as a team.
That's what Cap said.
They did have that cool
Or,
line.
yeah.
I believe it was in this scene where like, where were you this whole time? And she was like,
Oh,
just
yeah.
fucked up
1,000 other
everywhere.
planets, like,
but
there, and
other
they don't
planets
have you.
didn't have you guys. I like that line.
I did too.
And
That was a good line.
Even there was a reaction from War Machine. I think they were just kind of like,
Yeah, Rhodey made that kind of
fair
shrug,
enough.
like,
Well, yeah,
she's not wrong.
Yeah. It was him or Captain
Well,
America. Just
it was
like
Rhodey
good
that
point.
made the comment, wasn't it? It was like,
Yeah.
I know you're new to or
Yeah.
whatever.
New-
like,
yeah.
new to
We're
the
all
team
in
thing,
this
but where have you
superhero
been?
gig,
Yeah.
Where have you been? Yeah,
I like that moment. That was a nice.
she set him in his place.
Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
and it established a good point too. Like, if she's all
Yes.
this powerful, why wasn't she there? But now we get it. It was a
Earth
simple
has
conversation.
Avengers. So
Great
many
dialogue.
other weaker planets because there's not Avengers on other
What now?
planets.
What was that, Tim?
Great dialogue. This film has
happened?
phenomenal dialogue.
Oh, for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Like, everything
Dialogue
that
and
they
monologues
say,
are
yes,
great.
Oh,
everything has a purpose. Everything they say has some meaning behind it, and it doesn't have to weigh heavy or whatever. It's just it has a purpose. There's no wasted line.
there's inside
great.
jokes from all the other movies and
Yep.
like depth
Yep.
to so many lines.
But
back to the.
so Thor, we don't hear anything, and then all of a sudden
He's sulking.
he's
He
sulking.
stands up
machine.
and
he just
he
stands, up.
and basically stops Captain Marvel in her tracks by standing in front of her. And then he calls Stormbreaker,
yeah.
and I think she doesn't flinch, so he's like,
And
I like this one.
respect, yeah.
And
Yeah, that was a cute moment.
then that's
or
when they go
Thor.
to the garden. You know, Nebula. We don't need to get into it, but Nebula
she
says
introduces,
where.
yeah,
Yeah,
childhood
she names
memories
the,
and
she names the
conversations,
place, saying that he
Yeah.
always said he'd go to the garden when they were done.
Yeah.
which I thought was a valid reasoning to find his destination.
Now, I will admit, I did not like that Nebula monologue where she's like, "Oh, he used to tear me apart and talk about this plan." We don't need to know the backstory. Just say
It
Just
went
say,
on a
"We
little too
got it."
long, but
We-
I
we
understand
saw him.
why it was
She-
happening. But
It's
the
shit
emotional
that she
bullshit.
talked about before. Like,
Yeah, well-
she talked about this all the time, about being torn apart. And like, when she's mad at Gamora, she talks about being
Yeah.
torn apart
Yeah.
and rebuilt.
Now, the only thing I can
They
actually
leaned
say,
onto that too much.
and
but,
this is what Jason said earlier, just a couple minutes ago, was character. That's her character. She
Yeah,
talks a lot.
exactly.
Like she over talks about things.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's like she has to
Over-explains, 'cause
explain
she has
herself.
no, like,
Yeah,
she has
has
no
to explain
social
herself.
etiquette.
No, because she always has to explain herself. If she fails,
Yep.
she has to explain why she failed, and that's why
Yeah.
Thanos has to make her better.
It's
Like,
just that mentality of I'm not worthy. How can
Yeah.
I deserve this and that?
Insecurity.
It's kind of a flaw. It's a character
Insecurity.
flaw.
Yeah.
And yeah, there it is. All right, so we go to the garden,
And
we
this is
see
where
that
shit got really
motherfucker.
interesting. First of all, beautiful.
Yeah, right.
I would destroy the universe.
It's
to sit there,
paradise,
too.
peaceful, right? It's fucking yeah.
It was beautiful.
Tim, you would. You've been talking about going to fucking, if you could, to the middle of nowhere since I've known you.
Long time.
But
and it has
yeah,
waterfalls.
we get
got
to the
fruit.
garden.
He's got a
and we see-
scarecrow.
We see
That was his armor.
I know.
Yeah,
But he uses it as like a scarecrow.
and that's a
I didn't
nice
even
touch.
I didn't even know if that was a scarecrow.
it's
so
just-
much,
it's
but
because it's
I
in
got
the
it.
field.
It's the way
It's just sitting
exactly.
right
Was
there
it,
in the
was
field,
it in the
yeah.
field? I didn't even know it
Yeah.
was in the field. I
Oh,
looked
it's
at it, I was
definitely
like,
in
oh,
the
it's his armor.
field. It's
But
all
his
in
field-
fields. It's a fucking garden.
Right? His field is though like right out his step. So he has
But
his
yes.
porch and then there's the field. So it's not like
2
it's
out of 3 scarecrow wins.
Yeah.
The field where he grows his fucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Um,
watching him limp around, you get a sense like there's
No.
something wrong here.
Well,
And then
he
we get
even
the
looked
answers.
like a little worse for wear, like at the end of Infinity
did.
War. He's even scarred up from Infinity War.
Well,
As he should
no,
be.
he
Fucking-
explains why he's even worse.
Well, no, I know.
Well,
I'm
we
just
know,
saying, like
but-
you don't get yet that it's why he
They-
seems to be worse off. But like,
So him
he's
almost
scarred up
dying
from Infinity War and stuff.
is
Yeah.
probably getting beat down. Like he had a hefty battle in that Infinity War, so
Yeah.
He
you
did.
can't take that lightly. He's the strongest motherfucker, but
So
all right.
this is the next emotional beat. Is
Mm-hmm.
Thanos. Even though we don't get
Yeah.
him or we don't get him talking or in an emotional, conversation or anything. It's the solemn somberness that you see when
Yeah.
he's
at
sitting down.
peace.
I was gonna say he's peaceful.
Yeah. But there's
Oh,
also a
he
sense
has
of
that
heaviness
awesome
behind it.
line
It's that
later
solemn
on.
somberness. He's serious, but yet there's something weighing heavy on him. Even though it's a peaceful thing, you could just see like there's something going on in his head.
That's probably
Yeah,
Gamora.
Well, I mean, probably Gamora, but I mean, at the same time, he talked about, being one to know how to fix everything. Doesn't necessarily mean he wanted to do it that way.
Yeah.
But like, he
I'm cursed
knew
with
what
knowledge,
needed to be
too.
done.
That was
cursed with knowledge.
that
Like,
was the word he
it's
said.
the-
Yep.
It's the weight of knowing what he had to do. Because even at the end, when he does it and he sees that vision of Gamora that's like a child, she's like, "Did you do it? What did it cost you?" And he says, "Everything."
Yeah. And
So
I think
he feels
Yeah.
the weight of what his actions had to do.
and that's what I felt. I felt like it's just it's that weight and that guilt, whatever it is. He knew he did was right. He accepted it. He did it.
Yeah.
But it's there. And he
He's
knew it.
resolute.
It's
It
the
is.
consequences that he has is
But
he has to
he's
live with it.
still, at the end of the day,
he's resolute in like his belief of what he did, but he knows
exactly.
what it cost.
Yes.
And it was worth the cost. Is what
Yeah,
he's.
he feels
Yeah.
the cost was it was
Like,
a price worth paying,
he-
even though it was a heavy one.
His heart dropped to his stomach, but at the end, his mind says it was still the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But he's feeling the fucking emotions,
Yes.
like broken heart syndrome type shit.
Yeah. And all
Yeah.
all it took was him to sit down and you see his face.
Yeah.
And I got that. I'm like, yeah. I actually sympathized for a little bit. I felt bad.
Yeah.
It's hard not to. And that's that next emotional beat that I got from this was
We
that.
get another
But then-
Spock moment.
But then it quickly changed.
Yeah.
Like you get a blip and then it's
Well,
Right.
when he gets threatened, of course he's gonna become a badass again. But
I don't even think he
didn't
tried
he
that
didn't
hard.
really become a badass. He just like
Well,
got taken down. He
verbally-
just didn't fight.
verbally,
I see what you're
he
saying.
just was like, it was worth it.
But he's a titan. He doesn't know
Yeah.
how to be afraid. I mean, and he's
fair enough.
he's
yeah.
situated himself to where he knows his work is done. He can pass peacefully. Like there's a line later on that actually encapsulates this whole thing.
I
Yeah.
know. I look forward to getting to that one. Like
But like, and I'll mention it later,
me,
or one of us will talk about it. But you know,
I'm wearing the fucking bow tie. I'm saying it.
he's at, like I said, he's at peace. He knows what he's done.
Yeah.
He's set it in stone. Like he doesn't think it can be reversed.
Yeah,
And
no.
he's okay
No,
with it.
he made that impossible for it to be reversed.
And what did he do?
He fucking destroyed the stones.
And that was the
'Cause
second use.
And that
used-
line, he used the stones to destroy the stones because the only thing left is fucking temptation.
Yeah.
And I probably didn't get it right, but how it was said,
It was a
once again,
combination
Tim,
of that, yeah.
the dialogue.
Yeah, no,
that was a perfect
It's-
fucking line.
It
You
was.
got the bits
Of-
right. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he
But
used
his
them what he
reasoning-
needed them for.
His
and after
reasoning for
that's-
destroying the stones
temptation.
and damn near killing himself were fucking valid.
Once again,
Spock would be proud.
we get the sense that this fucking guy will do whatever is necessary. It's not
Exactly.
about
Yeah.
his wants. Nothing about
No.
that is his wants. It's
No.
it's a necessity.
Mine.
What he
no.
The bare
what he-
necessities.
What he says, like he says, the work is finished and it always will be. Like so, he
Yeah.
knows that's
He's
that's something that could have
inevitable.
been done. Like using the stones could have been used to undo his work.
Yeah.
It's destroying
Is
them,
that
even though it
part of-
almost killed him, is why he did it.
Yep.
What
Is
now?
that why he says I am inevitable? Like, what does that mean to you when he says that? I'm missing something
That's
here.
belief. In
Yeah, it's a
himself.
fake-
Like, that's belief
it's like
that
a
like
fake-
he's
Yeah.
not going to be.
Yeah.
It's not deterring. He's not going to be deterred no matter what.
So
He
that's
will get the
essentially
job
everything you
done.
said. Like that adds up to I am inevitable.
So he
Okay.
says it before, but it's his
Okay.
destiny.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is his destiny to do this. So he without
just a
being
weird-
religious, he takes a sense of a path, of
Yeah.
a purpose in life.
Well, that
his
sounds
purpose
like
in life
he's
is to do
Satan
this,
worshiper.
and that's why it's inevitable. No matter the outcome, he
Believe
would
in
always
himself.
reach here.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how much faith he had in himself to complete
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
mission. Is there was no second guessing that he wouldn't succeed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Because there was no other thing to do.
Okay.
Like he'd either die or like get it done.
Yeah.
yeah,
There was
Yeah.
no third option.
Who else does that sound like?
Cap.
In MCU?
Yes.
Oh yeah. it
Captain
does.
America.
Yeah.
He has the same mindset. Do what needs to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cap will die for the right reasons, and it's all belief and what's right and wrong.
What's Yoda say? Do or do not. There is no try.
Yes.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yes. So
Oh shit.
You get a couple different emotional beats in this little scene
yeah, you do.
because you also
Oh,
get
yeah.
like when they believe that he's lying about the stones. You have Nebula say, "My father's many things, but
A liar's
he's not a
not-
liar."
and,
and-
then
and then
Thanos
you
says, "Thank you, daughter." Like what?
He
the
says,
fuck?
he says, "Thank you. Maybe I treated you too harshly."
Yeah.
And he's like, and I think that shows
which was
that
not
he has
believable.
No,
I
it
didn't believe
wasn't.
that at all. It's
No.
just
no.
It's a ploy.
He said that
definitely,
for
like,
a chance that she would fight
No,
for him.
no.
It's-
I don't
it's
even
a-
think that.
Oh.
it's a calculated thought. Like he's like, maybe I shouldn't have been this way because I'd already engendered like loyalty to a degree.
Yeah.
Like he said, maybe I treated you too harshly. Like maybe I pushed you too far and tipped the scales of where you were. He's just noting a calculation.
Yeah, I think I think it comes down to
she probably went to cross them if he went to push her so far. I
Yes.
see.
exactly.
I
The
see.
loyalty concept is
I see.
she's still bound by him no matter what. And that's the comment that he was
even
making.
though she's technically betrayed him at this point, she still had kind words at the
Yes.
end for him. Like
Yeah.
so he's like I say, it's a notation of a calculation that he was off on.
Yeah. Yep. And
And
that's what
then
he
you
does.
have-
He calculates everything. That's
Yeah.
how he works. He doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
one of
Doesn't go off
wasn't he
emotional.
wasn't he one of the brightest minds on his
That's
planet?
why I
Wasn't he
keep
one of the
referencing
foremost-
Spock. This guy's so fucking thought out, logical, and ignoring emotion.
Yeah. Now,
And then
no. What were we
Are
going
we
to
go-
say? You're going to lead into another
I-
character.
you're up.
the last emotional beat you have is
Ooh,
Thor's next
Stormbreaker.
maneuver, because Thor basically just beheads Thanos, and everyone's like, "Well,
Mid
what did you
fucking
do?"
sentence. Yeah.
They're like, "What'd you do?" He's like, he goes, "I went for the head," which is the
But
line from
Thanos
the last
told him.
movie. Yeah, because he hit him in the chest, and he's
Yeah.
like, and he
Yeah.
had time to like use whatever. He's like, "Next time, you should have gone for the head."
Yep.
I do like how Thor just went and cut off the fucking hand
Yep.
of the gauntlet. I'm like, you son of a bitch. You should have done that in the first.
Well, here's the
Whatever,
thing.
whatever.
Here's the thing.
But they learned their
weren't-
lesson,
yeah.
so I like
Yep.
how yeah.
The reason why they
They're
were
not
to
making the
attack
same
him
mistakes again.
so well was
Yeah.
there's no defense and all that. He was unprepared, but
Oh,
they
that
were
helps,
able to
yeah.
plan it out ahead of time and work as a
Yeah.
team when it was way too late.
Yeah. And they already
Right.
knew what not to do, and they learned from
Yeah,
their mistakes.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I just loved how swiftly they just cut off the gauntlet, fucking
Yeah.
went to town, had that little
They
emotional
didn't
beat,
waste
and
any
then
time
It was interrupted by the fuck. I love not wasting time. Like
for
taking
somebody who
naps and
sleeps all
shit.
day.
What?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, but
Oxymoron.
Thor,
But yeah, and then they interrupt that emotional beat with a fucking decapitation. Oh, give it to me.
and
Give it to
what
me
does
on
Thor
repeat.
do when he does it?
He fucking.
He just walks off. Like he
He's
does
not-
it.
No, he was sad.
With some
So
kind
much
of
regret.
or guilt, or he knew what
It
he
wasn't
did.
too little, too late type of
Yeah,
thing.
I think that's what it is. Like at this point, it was just vengeance. It was like just satisfying
This was
vengeance.
yeah.
And it's
And
not
after
his style.
Ragnarok,
He's not wrong about like when Rocket says he thinks he failed,
yeah.
which he did.
Oh, he did.
He did fail.
So
and
his
he knows it, and so
vengeance
like
was-
he knows he can't fix it. He took what little like comfort he could from beheading Thanos now,
Yeah.
but he can't fix it. So like he knows that like he's too little, too late. He failed.
Yeah.
And
and
I do appreciate his decision. If the stones are gone, there's no way to get these people back. Stop talking.
Yeah.
Boom.
And
Just
it-
fucking
yeah.
done with you.
And that's why Rocket
And
said, "What did you do?"
he didn't talk it out with his team, but yes.
Yeah. What did you do? Like,
That's
what
it,
was the
yeah.
point of that?
Mm-hmm.
Even
even- I
Natasha and Cap.
was
Was it
very
Natasha?
se-
I thought
it was-
Bruce was like, what?
It was very
Yeah.
self-serving
Yeah. Yeah.
because everything he went through.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the weight on his shoulders, he was selfish in that moment.
This kinda
and
goes back to
I
their discussion.
understand it.
This goes back to to Rocket's discussion with him on the ship in Infinity War. He's like, talks about all these people that like Thanos
Yeah.
won't beat me.
Rocket's captain moment. Or-
Yeah, and he says, of course I'll succeed in killing him. He'll just be another one that I end up killing.
right.
And Rocket was just like, what happens if you fail? He's like, well, what else do I have to lose?
Yeah.
Turns out he had plenty to lose.
Fucking A. And then is it after that decapitation and then a little
Literally
words of
just
dialogue?
goes,
It goes 5
yeah, it
years
goes right to the 5 years later.
Yeah.
And that's where we roll into New York City looking way too quiet.
Yeah, it really reminds me of the COVID lockdown. Like
Yeah.
fucking
It looks like any zombie flick, really. If you look
Yeah.
at that skyline, like it's shot just right.
And why I say that, like driving to work and shit, like this, the emptiness of like they painted that
Yeah.
well. Like I didn't feel that until I
didn't hate
felt
it.
the
That's for damn sure.
yeah.
So 5 years
So
later.
Yeah, we're at 5 years later,
Yep.
Tim.
So-
I know you heard us.
We instantly get that conversation where it's like a what do you call it? Guilt.
It's a
circle
support
thing,
group. It's a
support
survivor
Ooh.
support group.
Yeah, Survivor's Guilt. I think it was Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Survivor's Guild is what everyone's feeling, but it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's a support group for
Support
people
group.
that like survive the
Yeah,
snap.
yeah.
of people.
What
Yeah,
was
they
that
just
sign?
can't move on.
We're
What
not.
do we do now that they're gone?
Yeah. Something. Yeah.
Now, this is where we see the cameo of one of the Russo brothers.
I thought that's who that was.
I
was one
can't
of the
remember if
Russo
it's
brothers.
It
Anthony.
is. It's,
I think it's
I
Anthony.
thought it was Joe. Yeah.
I don't know which one's who. To be
Yeah,
honest.
whatever, it's
I'd
one
have
of
to see a
them.
picture.
I don't think it really matters that much.
Fair enough.
I did like,
we wait.
and I don't know why.
Forever we talk about that guy.
I don't know why it just always. I appreciate it. Is they made him gay, just
Yeah.
for such a character, and I think it's
Oh,
just
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's not what you would expect to hear, and I just like it that they're.
I didn't
Yeah.
know it was him till years later. I'm dumb like that. But anyways,
Okay. Anyway, moving back onto the point Tim was making.
I just like that he's talking about going on
No.
a date with another man, and it's.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like that too.
I like it.
I noted it. I was like, that's interesting that they did that. Like, I don't think it really had any real necessity to the
No.
movie, but I thought it was
No.
a nice little touch they did.
Yeah, because it's not. I don't know. It's not something you would expect to just hear, and I'd like it. I really liked it. It just showed more of a
Yeah.
real thing. So that was the only thing I really had to say about it. Other than Jim Sterling, who is the creator of Thanos. He's the one who created
Right.
Thanos, the character. He's the bald guy that says,
Oh.
then when did you cry? Oh, I cried
who
right
I-
around it. That's Jim Sterling. He's the creator of Thanos.
That's who I thought the other
That's
Russo
cool.
was. But you're right. Okay.
Interesting. All right.
Um,
But yeah, you get Cap's speech about, you got to move on. Like, otherwise, like the fact that we're still here, like, why didn't Thanos just get rid of all of us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He makes those notations. It's a platitude, really. I mean,
You know, if we don't get up and move on, then he might as well killed all of us.
yeah, it's really a platitude you give anybody that's like a survivor. You at some point you got to move on, but
Because what else can you say to him? But
right.
that's the only
The
only
other
hope you
option
can
is
give
to
him.
roll over. The other option is to
Yeah.
roll over and die, and that's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Cap's life.
No, but
Yeah.
this is the most emotional you really get to see him.
Which I do like
Yeah.
that Cap took on this role of being a leader in these meetings and like being emotional, supportive. Like that's a very Captain America thing to do in such a dire time.
Yeah.
And you notice that like I think this is in part he does it because that's how he met Sam.
Yes.
Sam was a support group leader
Oh shit!
when they first met in Captain America.
yeah.
So I think it was an odd little nod to Sam at the same time.
I 100% agree.
Sam is one of the vanished. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't even put that together. Nice.
Right after this, we get what?
Natasha next, right?
Nope.
We get. Oh, Rat. Rat. The,
I knew you were gonna say. I knew
fuck.
you were gonna say fucking rat because that's all that it starts with is rat.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
You have to pay. You have to give the Rat respect.
Master
There's
Splinter.
There's no
before
Scott
he became
Lang without.
mutated.
Damn.
I'll
Yes.
take
I
it.
don't even know why I forgot about this scene because I actually made a note about it.
He hits a button or walks across the right.
He walks
thing.
across the control panel for
Yeah.
the quantum realm thing.
And there's no Scott Lang without that Rat. You got to give it up.
Yeah, that's true. Now, there's not like nothing at this point right here that is really important, other than it's a little fun facts. And one is you have Kim Jong, who is the security guard.
Yep. I was going to
Oh
say
yeah,
that,
yeah, with the
but-
mustache.
Hey, I had a really great thought. How much funnier would it have been if it had been Harry Dean Stanton, who was the security guard when the Hulk falls out of the sky in the first Avengers movie?
Oh yeah,
He's the one that finds him. How much funnier? He's long dead since when this movie was made.
Yeah.
But how much funnier would it have been if he had been the fucking security guard?
It would have been. I
I don't know why. It would have been a really funny like nod to the first movie.
Hell,
for
I
me.
thought it would have been great if it was Lou Ferrigno
that would have been funny
because he
too.
makes the cameo in the Eric Bana.
Oh
one.
right.
As a
it's
security
been so long
guard.
since I've seen
So
that. Shit.
him and Stan Lee are like walking out or whatever. Anyway, there's the other little fun fact thing is there's a sign that says Lang, it says Lang,
Yeah.
and it says 616 underneath it. So 616 is the Marvel Cinematic Universe of the multiverse. That is their realm, is 616.
That's their designation, yeah.
Yep. So like the Flash is
It's
the
like the
perfect
area
example.
code of multiverse.
Yeah. Yep. And then like the Flash is the perfect example to use is that they have a certain Earth and they're like Earth this. Because there's so many fucking
Oh, we got that.
crossing over.
Yeah.
So it's a little fun fact that the Universal Marvel Cinematic Universe stamp is the 616, and they have it there.
I didn't know that.
a little
Nice.
weird fun
That's
fact.
I think they call them
I
Easter
didn't even
egg.
notice that.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah,
Easter
it's
egg.
probably
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, Scott comes back because of a rat. I'm saying it's Master Splinter before the ooze.
I appreciate it. I'm down with it.
I think it's
And-
Remy from Ratatouille. It's a Disney
Fuck
product.
you.
Okay.
That rat ain't cooking shit.
Yeah, but isn't the Mutant
They've been
Ninja
looking for
Turtles?
ingredients.
No, I don't know who owns Mutant Ninja Turtles. Maybe
I
it's
don't either.
I don't know who owns
Fuck
it.
this
That's
rat.
I think
the
that's a
point.
Fox
That's not the
thing.
point. Let's move on.
We get Scott Lang coming.
Scott Lang
he
comes
gets,
back from the
and then
quantum
we
realm.
get a more sense of the world 5 years later and how fucking
Yes. Now this
That's
is where I agree
this
with
is
you.
the COVID desolate
is the
shit.
COVID
I
thing,
think you're
yes.
right.
Yeah.
I was saying those words too soon.
Yep.
You're right. This is where I get the feel where, and then that kid on the bike, him walking through.
Which had a Stephen
The
King creepy
vanishing-
feel to it.
Yes,
it
it
did.
did.
It
Like
did.
it was just
Everything
this
seems
desolate,
overgrown.
Yes, it was just
Yeah.
well because it was, but it was
It was
just
very The
desolate,
Stand.
empty, and there's just this weird kid riding a bike, and he just looks
Yeah.
back like
yeah.
Yeah.
And says
just
nothing.
He's all
mugging,
fucking
like,
weird
who
and
the
like
fuck are you?
Yeah.
Why are you asking me
Just
stupid
looks
It was
questions,
very.
bro?
he looked.
The
That
stand.
kid looks
take your
sickly.
pick. Yeah.
Like he looked
just-
like he hadn't slept in 4 days.
He just looks like when he asked, like I mean, I felt like it was very appropriate. He's like, kid, what happened here? He just goes,
Yeah.
"You're fucking wasting my time for, man. I don't need to think about this shit
Yeah.
and then move on."
Right.
I don't
Right.
know.
Or,
Like,
or it's like
it's technically
or
a dumb
it's-
question at
it
that
is.
point. to
exactly
anybody.
because he's the only motherfucker on the planet that doesn't know what's going on.
Except for
Because-
those who disappeared.
Well,
Right.
you're just being mean. But yeah,
You
so
are a mean
it-
ghost.
it's a very
Piss off,
stupid
ghost.
question. It's a very, very dumb question.
off, ghost.
So for the kid to fucking give him fucking go fuck yourself reaction is very valid.
Yeah.
But I loved the
And
reaction.
then,
I loved
and
it.
I me too. And I liked the vanishing thing, him coming to terms, and then thinking about his daughter, and then like looking up the names, and then running. That whole shit, like I don't know, it made sense. For that character.
Definitely.
That was his emotional beat.
Well, no, his emotional
Or
beat is with the daughter.
His breakdown. That's what
Yeah.
what? That's exactly what I just said.
Well, you
Well,
were lumping everything together.
Yeah,
kinda.
you extremely vague about everything.
Isn't that
you
part
just
of my
said.
fucking characteristics? Come on now. I'm going to the bathroom.
You lump everything together. We then have to parse it back apart.
And I can respect why he went to those monuments with the names and stuff. I respect the decision. I understood it. I had a hard time buying into that, I guess.
Yeah.
And
I
don't know if it was because it just felt so cheesy or like
My issue
don't
with
know.
it is like it's 2019 when this movie's released. If you use the 5-year whatever, 2014 is when he went into the quantum realm.
Yep.
They had fucking smartphones at that point. Get a smartphone, or like you should be able to pick up a smartphone easily enough and find the information that way, as opposed to running around looking at stone monuments.
Maybe didn't have
served.
it. I don't. Yeah.
I can get visually why it gives that sense of panic. I get visually why it does it, but it logistically is like there are much easier ways to have gotten that information.
I think the only thing I accept is it shows you what the world has tried to do for these people and these victims.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
why
for sure.
I respect what they did. But I mean, nothing against Paul Rudd. It just felt very almost unnatural and a little bit forced.
It's odd for the character who was basically comedic relief 99% of the time to be in that big of an emotional spot.
I actually felt like it was a lack of emotion. I feel like he's the kind of guy that would have panicked better.
Yeah.
and it didn't quite.
Well, that's what I mean. Like he's a comedic relief guy, and they put this emotional like spot for him. It didn't pay off.
Yeah,
like it paid off a little bit, like when he actually meets it with his daughter. Like I believe
a little bit, yeah.
But up until that point, yes. And the daughter thing, that's where I was like, oh God, like I felt it. Like I accepted all of that. And it was
those
beautiful.
father-daughter moments in the last two movies really mean something.
But what really worked for me was not Paul Rudd. It wasn't Scott Lang's reaction to his daughter. It was his daughter. I just whatever it was, I connected and I saw like, what would I do if all of a sudden 5 years later,
don't do this again.
There's my mom.
You froze again.
God damn it!
What?
Zoom.
What? We're frozen.
We haven't gotten like. Oh, there we go.
You froze on us for a moment.
Oh, did I? You guys didn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
hey, we're
like,
traumatized from the last glitch.
Oh, there it is. It said unstable. No, on your screen.
Which
Jason.
one of us?
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
My screen. Well, everything about me says
but
unstable.
the daughter thing landed.
Yeah,
I loved it.
She missed him more than anything.
Well, the way she touches
her
his,
trying to
his
live life
face
without
and,
him.
Like, trying to like just like tangibly say, "Oh no, my dad is back."
Yeah.
It was her side of things. I agree, Tim.
It was that pause too when he rang the doorbell and banging, and she like you just see her come into frame behind the door, and she paused for a second, and then it's just slow walk up, and then paused at the window again.
Right?
I was like, yeah, she can't believe it.
5 years, like the most fucking meaningful person.
And she's 17
gone for 5 years, and she can't believe.
Okay, that was my other issue with this whole thing.
She did look
she's
older than
17.
she should be, right?
Yep, she's supposed to be 17.
Did she look 12 in Ant-Man and the Wasp?
No,
she looked like
she looks
8.
younger.
Okay, and 2 years had not passed. No. two or 4 years had not passed between
those movies were adjacent.
The ending and then the fucking snap. Like that's
parallel.
not how that works.
And Ant-Man and Wasp was filmed at the exact same time as this one.
Exactly,
which,
that's what I mean. Like,
Aram, that's a good fucking segue into about everything we're about to talk about. There's a lot of details and meanings and things that you have to like let go.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to time travel and like that stuff, like there is so much shit that they just
you don't want to get into the science of time travel.
And I
don't want to get into the math of the daughter's age either. Like there's so much shit that like
when she
doesn't
came
make
walking,
sense.
I was like, because like in my mind, I was like, at best, she is 15.
Yeah.
And that was like giving her that she was 10 in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I was like, she does not look 15.
She was missing it. She had daddy issues. Maybe she was wearing more makeup than she should be.
Scott Lang's got to hug those stripper boots back off of her.
Yeah. So she's supposed to be 17, but she looked like she's 21.
Right.
And when she was
like I said,
and when she was younger in Ant-Man and Wasp, she looked like she was like 8 and she's supposed to be 13, 12?
All right.
Something?
No, because they go to show and tell in
Let's
Ant-Man
move
and the Wasp.
on.
There is
Let's
no
move
way.
on.
The point is,
We have
it
so
didn't
much
make
to
any
talk
sense.
about. Let's move on.
We do.
Do we get peanut butter jelly
it
sandwich scene,
infuriated
or
me.
yeah, we do. What's up?
Yeah,
Yeah,
next
so
is
the next one
Natasha.
is where we get Natasha. She's making a sandwich, and that was her emotional.
They're having
beat.
their meeting, right?
Yep.
It's a meeting
she's
with.
basically running Shield now. Is essentially what she's
absolutely
she's
is.
coordinating Shield as the iteration of it in the present day.
Yeah.
Like, even though Shield is defunct now, like
She's
she's
just
basically
running
running
shit.
what essentially is, comes down to Shield. Only on a galactic scale, because
Exactly.
Nebula
They're
and
all
Rocket and
over
Captain
the
Marvel are all
universe.
fucking talking shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
We do get to see her breakdown when Rhodey starts talking about Ronan, which is Clint,
Yeah.
and
Which is an awesome
it was great.
setup.
A part of me had a hard time understanding why she was so emotional about it.
To
Like-
watch somebody she loves do such fucking
But it's
ghastly things. What's the word, Aaron? He's murdering motherfuckers.
She's done the same.
I don't even think it's
she's
the
not.
murdering. It's
I don't
the
think
fact
so.
that
Yeah,
she can't.
she's assassin.
She can't.
Oh.
She can't find him to comfort him
Yeah.
knowing that his family is gone.
Yeah.
It's her
She
best
understands
friend.
the pain.
Yes.
She understands the pain he's going through and the reasons why he's doing it,
And
but she can't help him. She,
I
they
would
have that whole
posit-
speech later on. Yeah, yeah.
I would posit that she can't. It's not that she can understand the pain he's going through because she does not have the same thing. But the thing of it is
He's
Clint
alone.
is like her. He's alone. He's her best friend, her mentor, her rock.
Ooh, that's why
So
she understands.
She's there. She can't comfort him. She can't be there for him, and that's breaking her heart.
And that is why she has a necklace. And if you didn't notice, the necklace
I did not.
is an arrow.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I missed. Yeah,
And
I missed that.
that's to connect that bond that she has with Clint. Like they're
Well,
like
then-
brother and sister. There's like no
Exactly.
romantic feelings. It's a
So-
love of family.
Exactly.
And
but
that's the only justification that like you really can say why she feels
so
away. Is like
I
what Aaron was
think
saying.
her emotional scene fucking landed.
It did.
I don't know.
I'm not saying it didn't. What I'm saying
Yeah, okay.
is this is a tough ass son of a bitch of a woman. Like this is one
Yeah.
mother you don't
and
want to
for
mess
her to
with.
tear up slightly
her,
like
yeah.
that was powerful.
And that's what I'm getting. Like it's almost like you have a hard time believing that she's crying over Clint without actually knowing
Yeah,
why.
or-
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just supposed
sure.
to connect the pieces yourself.
Oh,
And it
yes.
wasn't until
And
you
that's
see
okay.
Ronan and they're in the
Because-
alleyway that you go, that's why.
And that's
Yeah, that is
okay.
why.
We connect pieces of ourselves. We've
Yeah.
been through this 11 years of learning these characters.
Yeah,
So, and
most
that's the
definitely.
beauty of this movie. They that helps with these emotional things.
Yeah, it's not like it's hard to connect the pieces. But that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like at a moment when
Then
you see
after
her
that-
crying, it's like, okay.
Yeah, and then after that, we get Cap walking up.
Yep. He comes in.
Yeah,
She's like,
but
"Oh,
that's
you
not an
here to do your
emotional
laundry?"
beat. You
No.
you don't really get any
No.
emotional beats.
No,
It's just-
I'm moving next to the scene, but there's something about their conversation. He says, "I did see whales and clean water." There's this small silver lining. He's like, Thanos did make the
Yeah,
shit better.
Well,
like,
yeah, he says I saw a pot of whales in
Yeah.
in the
The
Hudson.
Bay, yeah.
And she's like,
oh yeah, Hudson's
and then-
nasty. Yeah,
Yeah, and she's like, well, there's less people, there's less pollution, there's less
Yeah.
boats. Like, and she says,
Yeah.
if you're gonna try and say that there's a silver lining, I'm gonna hit you in the head with this plate.
Yep.
peanut butter sandwich. I'm sorry.
And then
yeah,
he
sorry.
said, well, force a habit.
Yeah, he can't
Yeah.
help himself. But
Exactly, and
I
that
did
points
like
to we talk about Cap's character. Like he tries to find like what positivity he can
And
because
that's
that's
the
how a leader
one-
works.
That's the one and only time anybody gives Thanos
Or, yeah.
praise for like the good side of like the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And I hate to say it because the fucking guy is wrong, but
It's like we just said earlier.
and I
they're a
like
lot
how
similar.
subtle
Yeah.
that conversation was.
They're a lot
He-
more
he
similar
sees
than
the
they
line
seem.
of-
Fair
he-
enough. Yeah.
He probably sees the line of thought. He doesn't agree with how
Yeah.
it went about,
Yes.
but he
Yeah.
sees what the reasoning is and like
Yeah.
he understands it.
And that's
And
what
he
it comes
did
down
it
to
in
here.
a
Their
way of
people
like
exist.
trying to make her feel better, and that was nice. But once again, it was wrong, and he can't help himself.
But that's Cap being from the 50s. Like you always try to
Exactly.
comfort a woman that's sad.
That's
like
true.
you know that's his all like when you force a habit. I mean, I think that's part of it too. Is like he's used to being the one that has to see the silver lining and like be able to
Yeah.
like bring people up, but like he sees a crying woman, he wants to help because
Yeah.
in the 50s that's what a real man did was
Yeah.
he took care of a woman that way.
Yep. That's really, this is all that you get for your emotional
Yes.
beats.
Everything else gets back to comic book
Yeah, because then
Action
they start
movie.
to
comedy.
figure their plan, their next move, and all that stuff,
Yep.
which is great. Scott coming in and stuff like that.
Beautiful setup. Fucking
Yeah. Once Scott
That whole
comes
fucking-
in, the comic relief kind of
Yep.
comes out. They
Yes,
lighten it up. And it's
absolutely.
thanks to Paul Rudd.
It's time travel jokes. Back to the movie. Time travel movie jokes.
Yep.
Fucking.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
get the team back together.
He
We
talked
get
to Tony.
Thor.
He's like, are
yeah.
you trying to tell me your entire plan is based on Back to the Future?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
No. Yeah, it is.
Where do we start? I mean, yeah, we got Scott Lang ringing the doorbell, and I do understand they're surprised. Like, he's supposed to be dead. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I did like that. That was the kind of last confusing type of beat. And then
How old is this message? This
Yeah,
is the
is
front
this
door.
an old message? No, it's the front
good
gate.
dialogue, good question.
Yep.
That was, And she just like, nope, this is front door, motherfucker.
And I do
God
like
damn.
that Scott's yelling is like, oh, you might not remember
Yeah.
me. We met in Germany.
Yeah,
I was the
yeah.
big guy and then shrunk down. I was wearing a mask. You might not know. No, you would know.
back to the comedy.
Yep. And then him pacing back and forth. And Scott, are you okay?
Is that
Yeah.
someone's sandwich?
Sandwich, and he should be
Time travel.
starving.
He had, it's like a moment, this odd moment of brilliance from Scott Lang, who's not, not
No.
supposed to be a smart guy.
Yeah.
He's a thief.
He's not.
Yeah, he
a
has that
thief.
like weird. But he
he's not
has
Hope's
that weird,
father. Or wait,
right? And
what?
he doesn't have that connection to Janet
Yeah.
either. And like, but
Yeah.
he has that like that thing. He's like, I've been thinking about the fact that like the time moved differently. Like, what if we could take care of that?
Yeah.
And so he
So
even
for
says
him-
like, I can just think about this part. Like, we need somebody with a big brain to like
Yeah.
really do it.
What's-
Like, can we
what's he
find
say?
something
For
like that?
him to bring the idea to
What do you know
Stark
about
and
quantum
Hulk-
physics? Oh, only when it comes up in a conversation.
Did either of you study quantum physics? Well, only so I could bring it up in conversations. Like, and then just goes into the fucking like explanation.
It's just, and that's great. We needed that little uplift after all that emotional
Yeah.
shit.
We did.
So
it was a
perfect.
really good transition into relief.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, so after this, I mean, they do go talk to Tony. That's their next step. After talking to the Hulk,
Yeah.
they failed. They did some experiments to kind of
No,
move
they
things
didn't talk
along.
to the Hulk first. They talked to Tony first,
Oh,
and then they go
yep.
see the Hulk
Okay, yeah,
because
that's right.
Tony won't help.
And Tony's emotional beats here, is his daughter, the family, him being on a house on a lake instead of a fucking mansion. He got his second chance,
Yeah, well, and that's what the ending of that whole scene.
To sneak
There's
it
a
in.
little bit of comedic stuff with Scott Lang. He's like, he says like, "Is your whole theory based on Back to the Future?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's a nice joke, but like he even says at the end
But
when it's like, "Hey, we got a chance to give we get a second chance." He's like, "I already got mine."
Yeah.
And he's holding his daughter.
Yeah.
His,
Like, I'm not gonna roll the dice on it.
his
And that's-
anger and resentment and all that when
Yes.
he came back
Which also
took a backpedal
well,
because of, I hate to say
what
it,
happened?
because of Potts. He got Potts
Well,
back.
no, it's because he tried to prevent this from happening, whether it would have went his way or not. But he feels like they failed, and he
but
got a
people
second
who
chance.
fail don't go
He
back
doesn't-
up without some
He
kind of
doesn't.
help. And
he doesn't
had to
blame
help.
him or anything, but he's given up in a sense. What's
No,
up, Aaron?
What I think is what it is like because he says I'm not going to roll the dice on this.
Yeah,
He doesn't
there it
see
is.
it.
Yep.
He doesn't see a way to fix everything
Yeah.
without losing what he has now, and he's not
that's
willing to
the
risk
next
that.
one.
Because
When he
are you
does-
going to risk giving up your daughter?
Yeah.
When
and erasing her from existence to fix everything else?
And
Like,
that
he's not
explains-
willing to fix that.
That's why I said
especially
Potts.
without a guarantee.
Because
Yeah.
it's with
Yeah.
Potts
And
when he
what-
came
so
back
that's
with
when
Potts. So
Yeah, and then that explains why when he does find the guarantee in that quantum equation and that hologram thing, middle of the night with the
With Friday.
Yeah.
That's his computer's name. It's Friday.
So I know
he froze again.
Yeah, when he does get the answer of like this isn't impossible. Fuck, I can't help myself, and then Potts talks him into it. And I
It
really
doesn't
hope,
even. She doesn't talk him into it. She gives him permission.
fair
Because
enough.
she says, she's like,
That's a good point.
He's like, I could just stop. And she even says, like, getting you to stop once you started is one of the few failures in my life. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Hey.
The snap didn't happen, but my bladder did. Yeah, you
anyway,
did.
did you hear any of what we just said?
Yeah, the snap happened.
No, did you hear like
No,
when
but-
your recording froze? Because
I
we
doubt
kind
it.
of finished my thought.
He disconnected. I doubt it.
No, I didn't. It didn't disconnect. Well, I don't know. It just stopped and reconnected. Like it had to reset itself, but it didn't
Okay.
like cancel everything. So it's still
What was
recording.
the last part?
Is
What was the
Zoom
last part you
recording?
heard?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Like
Um.
I just the last thing you
well-
said. Oh, he froze again.
Oh.
So
Well, we were saying that because
Oh yeah, we said some
I think
shit after that.
Jason said that Pepper convinced him.
Oh,
Once he figures out the equation, Pepper convinced him. It was like, and it's not that she convinced him; she gave him permission to move forward, because she even says she's like, getting you to stop is one of the few failures in my life.
yeah, It's not, and at the point, it's not permission. It's just you're gonna do it anyway because you know that's what needs to get done. Like,
Right. She
But-
eased his conscience
Yeah.
by saying it's okay.
Yeah.
That's
and
that's what I
his
mean by permission.
years later mentality and his relationship and it's permission because he's
but it's not
Less
permission
selfish.
if you know it's
It
gonna
is,
happen
because
anyway. At that point, it's just to ease his mind to think it is
She-
permission.
nah.
She gives her blessing is really what
That's
it is.
there. It is. That's the difference.
There-
That's the better way to say it. That's a better way to say it, yeah.
that is
Semantics.
Yes, and
But yeah,
sometimes they matter.
She tells him it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
which he needed that because he would have dropped it in the ocean and went
But
to
he would've
sleep.
been-
But yeah.
she
He wouldn't have gone to
said,
sleep.
"Would you get rest?" And he'd be
Yeah, would
doing
you
the
have been
whole
able
thing
to
in
rest?
Iron Man 3 where he's not sleeping for 72 hours.
And then we'd
all that
end up
shit.
in an Iron Man 4, and we don't need that. So
No, we needed this movie.
now, in between these two scenes,
Okay,
we had
Ooh.
the scene with the Hulk because that's
Yes.
the next
that's
intelligent
the
person they know.
Contingency.
Yeah.
yeah, they went to
Yeah.
the
So they
diner.
go
and
meet the
talked
Hulk
to
in a diner.
Yeah.
You see that he's blended himself. I had problems with the Hulk at this point.
It was for the kids, and they made it apparent with the selfie.
I just had a whole problem with this whole scene.
What?
I
It's
had
for
a
the
problem-
kids. Let them have something for the kids.
I had a
fine.
It
problem
can't
with
be all
them-
about us. Come on, we're
them
too old for
taking
this shit.
them taking Bruce's character from the brooding, troubled, like trying
Yeah.
to find some sort
That
of
is
like
a
way to live
big
life
jump.
character,
Yeah,
and moved him into this like comedic relief character
yeah.
because that's all he is for the first half of this movie is comedic relief.
It's basically a.
He's for the kids.
It's like what Thor did in Love and Thunder. He went from being a warrior to a pacifist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that was. Oh,
It's like he found. It's like he found Buddha.
Yeah,
yeah. They basically did. They did to Bruce here what they did to Nick Fury and Captain Marvel. They made him kind of a comedic
Yeah.
side
They-
note as opposed to like being a legit character that he should have been.
It.
you guys aren't getting my point, and tell me if I'm wrong or shut up. But
Shut up.
he's for the kids.
No,
I-
he's really not.
I don't
He
see
is.
that. I
He's
don't.
to make fucking children laugh. That's what he's for.
don't-
I fucking swear to God, he's
No,
not
because-
for us.
Because
He's not.
once you meet up with Thor, that is where you're supposed to get the most comedic
Well, that's
bits that
different.
children can laugh at.
Yeah, but
all of
everything you
Bruce's
guys were
stuff-
saying, that was all kid comedy.
No, it's not even kid comedy.
It's not-
Like, this
because he's
is
not
like
even being
it's
funny.
awkward. It's awkward fish out of water
Yeah.
stuff because like he's acting in a way that no one cares for because it's not Bruce.
He's trying to reinvent himself in a matter that he thinks he should be, because he's now physically reinvented
You guys are
himself.
being all right.
He's mashed those two together, but he doesn't want to be the
Yeah,
brute.
yeah, I
He
get
doesn't want
that.
to be the
Yeah.
scientist. So he's
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
reinvent himself,
So-
like a new
I
identity.
did like Valkyrie's
I
reaction.
think I
It was
preferred
like,
you either one of the other ways.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's how I feel.
exactly.
That's exactly
Me
how I
too.
feel.
And
Me too.
And that's what I mean. Like they take a character that has depth and like matters to the storyline and turned him into in Endgame of all things, turned him into this comedic character that had no real emotional bearing on a lot of this movie. He
Tim,
has like
are we-
two spots that
Are
are
we
like
recording
emotionally.
on Zoom? Sorry.
Yeah, we hadn't stopped.
All right.
He has
Yeah.
like two emotional beats before the before we got done with this half.
Yep.
And they're both later in the movie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, I accepted it. I knew what they did. It's whatever, but I didn't care for it. I could have skipped this entire diner scene and been okay with it.
Yeah.
yeah,
When
for
they
sure.
started testing and stuff like that with Scott Lang and the time travel stuff like that, even then, that whole scene, I could have taken it or
yeah.
leave it, but
We already got the Scott Lang comedy
yeah,
with
and
the doorbell scene and the peanut butter thing.
I just, if it wasn't for the testing that you needed to see for the next step to happen with Tony coming in,
Yeah.
it would not have mattered.
right.
It's
And
just
that
Oh yeah, I guess they
And
didn't
that
get it
was-
right without Tony. That was
Yeah. that's
and it was
the only
such-
purpose it really served.
it was such like it felt like lazy comedic relief too.
Yeah.
Like they took
For
all
the
the
kids.
bits. That one I can maybe say is for the kids, especially with the line at the end where Scott's like,
I think
someone peed in my pants.
somebody
I don't know if it was.
Yeah, somebody peed in
Exactly.
my pants.
It's
Yeah, we don't know if it was baby me or
bare
old me.
minimum comedy that
Or
like
me.
Or just
yeah,
me.
Yeah.
pee jokes, fart jokes.
That stuff I can
for
say
kids.
was for
they don't
the kids.
understand why they're laughing, but the kids are going to laugh at
But this
it.
is
yeah.
not a movie for kids.
It really isn't.
Well,
That's why it's
fair
PG-13.
enough.
That's going to be my
Fair
argument.
enough.
You
Fa-
can't mix
fair
one
enough.
little blip of kid comedy in the midst of all this shit.
You're right, and they shouldn't have done that.
Right.
But the studios or
That-
whoever
and
obviously
that's why
felt
I say that
obligated to
this is
shoehorn
lazy.
that in.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Right. And I'm sure it was.
I won't
sure it
bring
was
up
studio
the
notes.
kids again.
No, but I'm
I'll
giving you
Fortnite
props.
that
Like,
shit. Kill them all.
I would believe that like a lot of this, especially in an upcoming scene, like is some of it's for younger people to reference.
Yeah.
But this is not one of those movies that you
I
should
know,
be trying to
I
reference
agree
other
with
kid
you.
stuff.
I agree with you. There's
Like that's just not who you play to in this film.
there. I wrote down in my notes like they fucked up with some of these jokes and they diminished the emotional
Yeah.
meaning of it with the levity with
Yeah.
the jokes. I didn't need them, and I think you're right, Aaron. They should have just took it more
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah, you can't. And I'm all for using comedy to cut tension, but like
Yeah.
do it right.
Yeah.
And especially
You
this
can't- you
this
can't do
movie,
these
these
jokes.
stakes, this premise, this
Exactly.
this reaction, it's not for kids. You're right. You're absolutely right.
So I want to skip ahead a little bit because everything that
Sure.
happens, even it's good dialogue, it's good conversation, it's all important, but it's you know to move it along a little bit more. I think the next big scene that is extremely important that we get after this is when we go and find Thor, when they pick up Thor.
Yeah.
Now,
And
That's my Fortnite joke. All right.
I loved this scene, and I had a big problem
did
with
too.
it at the
Me
same time.
too.
I'm literally
Oh.
like this. I am on one side and then I'm on the other.
It's kind of one of my favorite scenes, but what's the problem? No, finish all your thought. Don't answer my question.
I loved the opening to the scene. Like I thought the music was good, and I
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
the way they show up. I thought I
Oh,
enjoyed
yeah.
that part.
That
I
was
did too.
awesome.
By the way-
let
Valkyrie.
you.
By the way, they were in a town in Scotland, not
Okay.
Norway.
It did not look like Norway.
Okay.
It's a town in Scotland.
But I mean, I'm going to let you talk about what you had a problem with him because I'd like to understand that so I can kind of bounce off of that.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well,
I
I'm
didn't
curious
have
to
a
what you have to
problem
say.
I didn't have a problem with this part. It was.
That was a good balance of. I know. You finish.
It's hard for me. I thought the opening, like especially when they run into Valkyrie,
Yeah.
you kind of get the understanding of what's going on with Thor to some degree. I thought was good, but once you meet Thor, not that we meet Thor, but like once you see Thor,
And
I
this-
just could have.
I think you're leaning on to why I shifted quite drastically.
It seemed like it was. I struggle with
didn't
like how to
fit?
say it.
Like it didn't
Yeah,
seem
like it-
appropriate.
Right. Yeah. I don't think it was proper the way it happened.
Yes. Yes.
I got it. But I mean, I think it's sad that they had to take what ostensibly is great emotional fodder and use it to turn Thor into
A joke.
It did remind me of
Into a
physical
joke.
visual
Skywalker.
joke.
Yep.
Yeah.
Into a joke.
The-
That's exactly it.
Because there's a great emotional beat in here too.
Yeah.
I-
Him,
but, like,
him
the
tearing up. Oh,
The
nailed
fact
it.
of the matter is the way he looks counteracts that because he's a joke if you look at him.
Yep.
Yeah, him drinking beer, eating the peanuts and the candy and
Yeah,
the
and
Fortnite
like, you know,
and the
Korg is
yelling
in
at
the-
the
in the-
kid.
That part is
yeah.
all undercut, when
They
the
fucked it
Hulk
up
says-
for trying to make the kids laugh again.
yeah. And there's
Kill
a
'em
really
all.
interesting there's an interesting beat.
That's what
when,
Fortnite's for.
when Thor's holding on to Hulk's collar and you hear Hulk go, please, like he just says, please let go of me, and just like
Yeah.
moves his hand away. I thought that was a very interesting beat for Hulk, like because it really is one of those points where like you remember that the Hulk and him were very competitive in that respect. Like they always kind of battled each other in that respect.
Also, the Voldemort fucking thing. Don't say his name.
Yeah.
That was kind of unnecessary.
That was a goofy
for the kids
sort
too.
of.
That was for the kids.
I don't
too.
think that wasn't a thing for the kids. I think that was just a poorly written emotional beat because saying the
It's a
name
trigger
like,
word.
What's the difference?
upsets. It's a trigger. Yeah, it upsets him, and
Yeah.
it's just poor writing on that small spot.
It was a ripoff of Harry Potter.
That's basically how I feel. Like, I'm a huge fan of Thor, and I'm especially in the Marvel world and stuff like that. I love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I loved what he's done. I love the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we know he can be funny. He's a goofball. He's not the most intelligent, but he's a brute. He's all about muscle. He's all about strength. He's the strongest Avenger. So to turn him into this joke, I just was very disappointed. And
at the same,
but at the same time, I did enjoy it and I did accept it and I liked the jokes. That
he landed
did.
the emotion.
Yeah, well,
he gave a fuck. His failure, like
he landed the emotion.
He sold that shit, but it was very small when it came to the rest of the.
You
fucking
could have written
jokes.
that far differently and given it much more weight.
Yes. And that's I think that's what I want. I want Thor. He started off as brooding. I mean,
yeah.
and I wanted that to carry over because we left with him as a emotional pile of shit on top of him. Like he's just like, oh, I went for the head, and walked out, stammering basically. And I just,
I think we've said enough.
I know. I think that Thor has more in depth, and we didn't get any of that. And I agree.
We got the surface of it.
We got the surface.
Like I say, you can
analyze that, and you can use it as that's why he's chubby. It's all surface, and he's hiding it inside, and that's what makes it work. The joke of me and him being a joke and this and that, it works because it's all inside, but it lingered.
But it's sad to see.
Yeah, it is, and it's pathetic. And Thor's far from pathetic, and that's what I had an issue. Is it completely destroyed the character? Now I get maybe that's the point. I just didn't like it.
Luke, just like Luke Skywalker in that fucking middle movie.
I agree with Tim. I agree with Tim because you come off of the Infinity War where he has that moment with Rocket where he says, I'm over 1,500 years old and more than that have tried to kill me. If this is
Ragnarok.
This is Infinity War. This is when him and Rocket are going, and he says, Thanos is just the next one that wants me dead. So destiny wills it. That's why I will win. And Rocket says, what happens if you don't? And he says, well, what else do I have to lose?
Yeah.
You have that kind of depth to that character, and then you turn him into this.
Yes.
And that's the problem.
That's where I'm going. Yep. That's
exactly. Yep.
Now, saying that.
Yeah, it just undercuts him.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I said, I do like the jokes. I liked when he goes, oh, Thor, the kid on the TV again. He called me a dickhead.
Yeah.
It's like noob 69 or whatever.
Master 69.
Just called me a dickhead. I'm going to fly to your house, come to your basement, rip your arms off them, stick them up your butt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he's like, you go cry.
Yeah.
Go cry to your father, you weasel.
Like, I enjoyed it.
He's like, don't worry about me. I'm not over here waiting for people to save me. I'm doing fine. And he turns to his friends. Aren't I doing fine? Oh, we're doing great over here, mate.
Yep.
Like, that shit had to be cracking up.
Beers in the bucket. Hop on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
There's no password, of course.
How'd you feel about when Rocket was like, there's beer in the ship? And I was like, I think that was another one of the moments where like, Thor,
But, I mean, that's
you
just
have better
more or less
reasons to get on the ship than a fucking beer.
I mean, that's just like that's a classic like Rocket approach to it. Like he sees
that's just
Rocket did no wrong. It was Thor's reaction and like
it was just that tipping point. That's all. Yeah, and
Rocket
I know
kills it in this movie.
I know what you're
Rocket
saying.
did no wrong.
I think that like the Rocket saying there's beer on the ship is an easy way to move it forward from there. Because you already played the scene out.
Rocket's gonna be a captain.
Oh God, yeah, he already is.
Yeah.
Yeah, also Rocket kills it in this movie.
He does.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're right. But yeah, I think it was. It was the quickest, easiest way to move the scene forward when they've already played out the scene.
Yeah.
But it just didn't.
There was just no more
made
to
Thor
really
look more pathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no more to put into that scene. You couldn't have added anything to that from where it was to really
Because
make anything matter.
They
at that
wrote
point.
themselves into that corner.
Now,
Exactly.
at least they committed. And I like that.
Fair enough.
I do like
Fair
that.
enough.
As much as I had a problem with
for sure.
Thor being a butt of a joke, because he's farthest thing from being a butt of the joke. Like
He's all but no joke.
that breaks my heart. I think that's my only issue I had. It just broke my heart to
Yeah.
go, this warrior being this, he's a joke, whatever. But they were consistent with it.
Man.
And the next line we get is
that
what?
And ran with it.
Yeah,
Love and
the
Thunder.
next
What?
sign we get
Watch
is
out,
what?
Lebowski.
Yeah.
Or on your left, Lebowski.
And does he not look like exactly like Lebowski? Like it was perfect. It was so good, and that was a
I didn't
purpose
even
thing.
catch that.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. goes, "Hey, on your our drifting left, Lebowski, pick a side."
Because of the fucking sweater
Yep,
that he's wearing.
the
and
glasses,
shit.
the sweater, the beard. He looks just like Jeff Bridges and
I didn't
Big
even get
Lebowski.
that.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "How we coming, Ratchet?" He's like, "It's Rocket." And remember, you're
Yeah.
only a genius
Ratchet.
on Earth.
Yeah.
Once again, I want to call him Ratchet. Rocket kills him.
Yeah.
Rocket is by far the
Honestly, he's the glue. We had mentioned this in the
Yeah.
last Avengers movie that not the Infinity War, but the one previous that Clint, that the Hawkeye was like kind of like the glue that kept everybody together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Age of Ultron.
And this one
Yeah.
is Rocket.
Yeah.
He's the glue. He's the one that holds everything together because he's in every step that you need him to be to smack some sense into people.
Yeah, he comes through in the clutch.
Yeah,
every
especially
time.
Thor.
Yeah.
How to kind of move on, how did we like the missions? Let's talk about the missions. So we have how many stones, right?
Well, hold on.
6.
Do we want to talk about collecting Ronin, or do we need to touch on that,
There's
or you
not
want it?
really-
I don't care either way.
There's not really
Do you
not like-
guys?
The only thing that I noticed about that scene, the guy he fights is the guy that plays Scorpion.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's the
It's
guy
time
that
to
plays
notice that.
anybody amazing in those type of movies. So
true.
I was happy to see him there.
He's the go-to
Army of the
Asian
Dead.
these days.
Yeah.
But the only thing I thought was funny was there's this whole epic battle in this whole fucking big ass city, and then all of a sudden final death scene, and then you got Nat standing behind him. I'm like, unrealistic, but it was good for the cinematic.
At least it was
Power.
Nat. At least it was Natasha,
Yeah.
and not somebody else like Rhodey or whatever. You know what I mean?
But
Right.
She would be the only one.
nobody's looking for him besides her. Is how I felt
Yeah.
when she teared up earlier.
Yeah.
So what happened was another one of those like, whatever. It had to happen for the sake of theatrics.
That connection, that Natasha and Clint conversation or whatever,
And
well,
their
it was
whole,
whatever.
the whole conversation was pretty cool.
But at least we understand why he's Ronin. Because we don't,
Yeah.
we get to see why. That's the only thing that really made that scene good is he's fucking going
Yeah.
around killing all these bad guys. He's taking matters in his own hand now because that's all he's got.
Well, Ronin was a samurai that had no master. So, I mean, at this
Yeah.
point, he serves no one but himself. He's just,
Yeah.
And he has a tattoo. That's a Ronin.
yeah.
he's got a whole sleeve.
But that's
Yeah,
what
he
it
does.
is. That's Ronin. That whole
Yeah.
sleeve is the Ronin tattoo, which
Oh, okay.
signifies
Oh, word.
who he's become.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I didn't even notice that's what that was. I
Yeah.
just know he had the tattoo.
But yeah, it was quick. It was simple, and I appreciated the simplicity.
Simplicity.
I agree. It is important. I do. It did fit everything. It kind of glued everything together.
It was
and-
necessary to.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I just didn't feel like it was necessarily to go into depth. But we did anyway. So.
Yeah. No, we done it. Now we're back into the missions.
So the missions. Let's talk about the missions. We have how many stones again?
6.
6.
And
3 on Earth.
well, first of all, did anybody else enjoy them?
Yes.
Like doing the studying
Brainstorming.
and stuff. You know.
Yes, eating the
Yep.
food, sitting on the
liked it.
table, writing
really
it
did.
down. And then when,
When Scott's like eating the Chinese food, like, you mean like in space?
Oh,
Look at you.
yeah. Oh, dude, yes, I'm
Yeah.
so happy you
Oh,
said
do you-
that.
like a little puppy. You want to go into
Rocket
space,
kills
little
it.
puppy? I'll take you to space.
Space.
I thought it was great. The
I was
condescending
laughing. Oh my
fucking
god,
asshole that he was. It was great.
I loved it.
Also,
and
the Hulk is eating Hulkberry ice cream.
yeah, I saw
From Ben and
that
Jerry's.
reference from Affinity. Yeah.
I love that Scott keeps referencing the fact that like we only have enough to make one round trip each.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. One each. And
Yeah.
like that's obviously they're really heavily foreshadowing that becomes a plot point.
Yeah.
Don't do
but,
it, Aaron.
yeah, like
don't do it.
What?
No. All right.
I was noting it's a plot point that they're hammering home.
Oh, I thought you were gonna try to like make sense of it.
Oh no! I mean,
Okay.
there's no need to make sense of it.
Sorry,
He's pretty
ignore
clear on
me.
his
Get back
outline.
to what you were gonna say before.
He's pretty clear on
the.
the explanation of that. It's one of those things like in the planning, like that's like one of the things he's like harping on.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, and that's when they do the test with Hawkeye. Is like okay, we have enough for like one test.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On
After
game.
Scott wastes one.
He does. I'm not ready for this. Which it bothered me a little bit because out of anybody there, he
Yeah.
should be the one that's ready for it because he's the one that's done this stuff before.
He's only been told what to do. He's not in charge of it. He's
been to the
he's a dummy.
But he's the only one that's ever used this equipment that they're modifying it for a purpose.
But him
like,
and button touching never really goes
that's
well.
true. Okay, that's fair. That's true. But in his defense, the last episode, Ant-Man and Wasp or whatever,
Yeah.
it was defected. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can call it the last episode of Ant-Man and Wasp. That fits the
Ant-Man
way those
again.
movies work anyway.
Ant-Man again. To continue though, the mission we get 6 stones. They do all the
Yeah.
research and then they come together to realize that what?
I
There's
do
3
love
stones.
it.
If you go to the
I
right
love it
year,
when
there
Natalie says, "If we pick the right year, there's 3 stones on Earth."
Yeah, in New York.
in New York,
That shit.
not even
or-
on Earth, in New
Yeah,
York.
my bad. New York, and that shit, like the way after all that brainstorming,
Yeah.
the sequence, and then I don't know, it just felt
Which
right.
Tony wasn't
Well, a lot of it
taking
is-
Doctor Strange serious as a magician, as a magic
Yeah.
user. He's always pulling a rabbit out of
what
a
kind of
out of
What
a
kind of doctor was he? I don't know, like a what's he called? Like a cross between pediatrician and pulling a rabbit out of his hat.
Oh, they made fun of their
Something along those
movies. They made fun of fucking Thor: Dark World.
Yeah.
He's- Thor's like,
explains
oh,
what
the
the
dark
ether is.
elves.
yeah, he's like, ooh, dark
scary.
elves, ooh.
And it's not like stone. It's more like a sludgy thing. And then it went into
love when they look at
her,
him
and
like-
then she went into it. And yeah.
They look at him and he's sitting there. Is he sleeping? I'm pretty sure he's dead.
Yeah, that was good. Well done, War Machine. That was a good one.
Yep. So they go. What was the first mission though? Where did they go?
New York,
Was that the first mission?
I
Well,
believe.
they all
There's a
separate.
Hulk,
They
right?
separate.
Yeah, they all separate.
It's 3 teams. Wait, no.
Yeah, but no, I know what you mean, Tim. So the team lands in New York. It's Ant-Man, Captain, Tony, and Hulk.
Yep.
They
Yep.
send the Hulk off to go find the Time Stone.
Yep. And
And
smash
he's
some
got
things on the way.
Which
Yeah,
is
because
my
they see the
favorite.
Hulk throwing a thing, and he's just like, "I think it's egregious, but all right." And he
Yeah.
takes his shirt
It was
off.
very
and he's
gratuitous.
That was funny.
Gratuitous. That was. And his like lack of like commitment to being the Hulk. Is,
But he's still smashing things. Like,
he punched a cab and then threw a motorcycle. That wasn't
Yeah.
He
really
didn't even throw it. He just
Anything.
kind of.
He just kind
He
of
just
like
tossed it to the side.
Yeah,
And I gotta say, his
I
like growls.
appreciated that.
Yeah.
I appreciated that.
I like that.
It was necessary for the growth of the
So
character.
that's the first piece of the mission. Is that he goes after the Time Stone, which is not with Doctor Strange right now. You find out it's
No.
with the Ancient One.
Yep.
Is that what she's called?
The ancient one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think
Tilda
we get a
Swinton.
different.
Yep.
With bad teeth.
And he said,
No, that's just her
I'm
regular
looking
teeth.
for Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange. And then she says,
like,
you're about 5 years too early, which
Yep.
I really
is
enjoyed
my-
because it shows you that he is destined. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's prophesied.
Exactly.
Well, she's used the
Hence
Time Stone.
why-
She's seen all the futures.
Yeah.
Like she talks
Yeah.
about that in Doctor Strange.
And
Like
that's why-
before she dies.
This is my favorite stone exchange.
Yeah?
But I don't know if it's now. Because I don't know if now's the time to talk about it. But
Yeah.
I appreciate a good conversation
Yeah.
instead of a fighting battle bullshit.
Yeah, it was a nerd conversation.
Yeah.
It was a science versus
Wasn't-
faith kind of concept, and it was
Yeah,
great.
it was a
Yeah.
debate.
Yeah.
It was
It
a
was
debate
great.
is what it was.
It was a thoughtful discussion, and yes.
Yes.
And I like that shit instead of just fists
But it
and
was
kicks.
the only one that had a sense of epiphany to
Yes.
it too.
And they set
A
up the
moment of clarity
multiverse.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, not if we just replace it back in the point that it returned. I was like, oh, it's just that easy.
yeah.
So
It was the
It is
only
in this
one that
film.
it was the only one that legit could not be solved with fists
Yes.
because no one knows
Yeah.
how to fight the sorcerers. Like
No.
you can't fight them physically when they can manipulate, the soul and like reality.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see that she was doing her thing on the roof.
yeah, kind
She
of
was like
defending
fucking
off the
with,
things.
She was
yeah.
Defending
fucking.
the
She was
Sanctum
fucking with
Sanctorum.
some aliens, but she was keeping to herself and guarding.
She was
doing
defending
her
the Sanctum.
job.
Yeah.
That's
And
what she was doing.
And her,
exactly,
her
doing her job.
funny little
And it was
quote
nice to know
or-
that she was active in that movie.
Yeah, and her
Or,
funny little
you know,
thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that way.
Yeah.
I just had the floors wax.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so nonchalant about it. Mm-hmm. It's like,
Yeah, I mean,
you don't want to do
fears no
this.
one.
No, I really don't. But you don't leave me in Opa.
Yeah.
Anybody
Sorry,
experience?
lady, I wasn't asking.
Do we want to just go ahead and establish how this this stone gets exchanged? Or are we gonna go through all
No,
that?
no. We could
or-
just do it right now. That's fine. Yeah. I just
Okay.
want to talk about each mission
I
because they have
love.
all importance.
This lady is a great actress. I love her reaction.
Tilda Swinton.
What?
Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton is her name.
And she's fucking amazing. Her reaction when Hulk says, "Well, Doctor Strange gave up the stone," and
Yeah,
She's like, what?
and she's like, "Well, he's supposed to be the best of us. Like he did this for a reason." She says so much without saying all the dialogue.
Yeah.
and,
Because she's like, he gave it to him willingly.
yeah.
He said, yeah. And
And
then she goes, maybe
it was
he
so-
made a mistake, or I did.
Yeah.
So yeah, right. Exactly. Thank you.
It also
Yeah.
shows
That
you
was-
more about like wisdom versus intelligence.
Yeah.
And she's wise, hence why she's the
Right.
ancient one.
Yeah.
So it shows you a lot about wisdom over just being
Yeah.
intelligent. I agree, though. I think this is my number one exchangement of the stone.
This is
Me too.
Yeah, this is probably the best written
Yes.
one. There
Ooh.
others are more comedic.
Or
Well,
heavy.
Besides-
I should say
yeah.
the ones Captain America and Tony and Iron Man's ones are more comedic because there's more comedic beats to them.
Yeah.
But like the other ones have more.
This one's more. Yeah.
This is the one on Earth that has more stakes to it.
Yeah. Well, and it has a completion.
So much wit.
It explains
Yeah.
how they're going to put everything back. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
it
yeah,
seals,
yeah.
it seals up the idea
That as
nicely. yeah.
well.
and that's very important. So, what was the
Yeah.
next one?
All right.
What was the next one that we got?
So the next one is the next one they use.
Not the Tesseract?
No, this is the one where they get the
No.
they work on the Tesseract.
They go
On this
to.
one, yeah.
Do they?
Well, let's
Oh,
just.
we
I
go to
think
the
they move
elevator
right.
shit.
They move right up to. I'm just gonna go with whatever I can think.
Yeah,
of.
Following
that's
Aaron
fine.
on this.
Totally fine.
So they move up to the top of it's Stark Tower right now, but it'll eventually be Avengers Tower. This is
Loki's
the
sitting
end
on
of
the
Avengers.
stairs.
The end of Avengers when they're holding Loki at whatever point.
This is the
surrounding
Soul
him.
Stone?
Testeract
Oh,
is
Mind.
the,
Mind Stone. Sorry. Mind Stone.
No, the Mind Stone's in the scepter. The Tesseract.
That's what I'm
is
saying. This is what
the-
you're talking about. The Avengers Stark Tower was the scepter.
Well, the scepter comes after the. It's kind of simultaneous.
Oh, it is
but
simultaneous.
the-
That's right. The
yeah, it's
Tesseract and the
simultaneous.
scepter are all in the same room.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
That's right.
it's simultaneous, but like so you first get the scheme with the Tesseract because basically Tony Stark lets Ant-Man jump into what does he jump into? He
his
shrinks down and jumps into something.
chest.
Oh, into Iron
Well,
Man's.
he does eventually downstairs, but I thought he was in something up top.
He was in his chest.
No.
He dives.
When he flicks him-
Yeah, he goes into his shirt.
He flicks
and
him
then
into.
He gets into his chest
Tony
later
Stark's
on.
beard. Yeah.
He's in his hair or in his helmet or something like that. And then and downstairs he slides down into the arc reactor. But yeah, so they use Ant-Man to cause a distraction essentially like while they're trying to transport the Tesseract. The comedic bit is when they're going down. you see all the Crossbones before he becomes Crossbones is there. They're taking the scepter and everything down, and like Ant-Man makes the comment like, "Oh, you guys didn't like who are these guys?" Like, "Oh, well, they're Shield or they were Hydra, but we didn't know that time." I was like, "You didn't know they were bad guys? They look like bad guys."
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so essentially what happens is Scott moves into the arc reactor that's still connected to Tony's heart at this point in the the timeline, and basically pulls a switch that gives him like a heart dysrhythmia, I believe is what he said.
Pulls his pen and gives him a cardiac rhythm. Something.
So this is at the point like they're down in the lobby, they're arguing with Robert Redford or the secretary of whatever about who's going to take Loki, who's going to take the case that's got the Tesseract.
Who's going to comb his hair? Nobody apparently. Fuck me.
During this time, they all go down in the elevator together, like all the Avengers except for the Hulk, who they tell to take the stairs because the weight limit has been met on the elevator.
And he hates the stairs.
This is this is the most like you hear the Hulk talk like from that movie, like
children comedy right here.
He bitches about the stairs the whole time, like he's looking, he's like, so many stairs. And eventually he comes down, and in the midst of them trying to steal the Tesseract, Tony gets a hold of the case. Future Tony gets a hold of the case, tries to take it and run out the building, gets hit with a door because the Hulk is coming out of the stairwell. And they lose the Tesseract by that way, with Loki basically picking it up when no one's looking and teleporting away.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first half of the Tesseract caper.
And leads into the Loki series, by the way, but yeah.
Yes.
Let's not get into that.
And then the other half of this series of events is the Scepter, which is the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
That's where Captain America
gets on the elevator with everybody, and basically it's reminiscent of that same scene from Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Where he fights the elevator full of guys. But he's like trying to get the case that has the scepter in it. Uses like he leans over to the one guy.
I did appreciate that. I appreciated that choice.
Yeah, I like that he said Hail Hydra. It worked. It made sense. Although
I guess
they should
it
have
was
known
all
better, but whatever.
Right.
You'd think they would know better. They're bad guys.
But
that's what I say.
Once again, gotta ignore some shit in this movie.
But this also coincides now that Loki has disappeared with the Tesseract. They're trying to find both. Cap is confronted by his earlier self, who now thinks that he's Loki posing as Captain America. And they fight, and they have a big, a nice hand-to-hand battle.
One of the things to think about and remember too that I've noticed about this movie is Captain America swears.
Yeah,
because he's lost faith. It's a signifying that he's lost faith. He's no longer living the Christian route like he did before. He's seen too much ship. He went through so much ship, and he has, and this whole battle that they lost and stuff like that is all gone. So he basically accepted that, there's like no God kind of stuff. So he swears. He's been swearing. He says ass. He said shit. Like when he sees himself, and he's like, "Oh, you got to be shitting me."
Oh yeah.
He says, "You got to be shitting me." He's like, "Oh, I've got Loki in this in level 14 or whatever," and he's like, "Yeah."
My favorite thing is like the past Captain America was like, "I can do this all day." The present, the future one is like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah.
I laugh
he's
so
already
hard at
tired
that
of
every
himself.
time. Exactly.
So they have their hand-to-hand exchange. There's a couple things that happen.
That's a good fight too.
Now Steve,
although
drops.
I feel like Aram has a problem with that fall.
The fall? Oh.
Because he always has a problem when Captain America falls.
When Captain America fall,
he fell less. It was a shorter distance than the time he landed on his metal fucking shield into fucking pavement. Anyways, he also landed on the other cap, which I think is helpful. No, I didn't. Never mind. But no, they have the few things that happen are now Cap basically drops I think it's a compass that has Peggy's picture in it.
Yeah.
And past Cap looks at it and is like, "Where did you get this?" And they fight from there, and then now Cap basically starts losing.
Yeah.
Past Cap has got him in a chokehold. He's holding on to him pretty tight. So in order to get out of the hold, he says Bucky's alive.
Yes.
To which
He uses his weakness against him.
Exactly. Always gonna distract past Cap.
So past Cap lets go, and that's when now Cap basically cracks him in the jaw and knocks him out.
No, he pokes him with the
soul
Mind
or
Stone, the scepter.
Scepter.
Oh yeah, he doesn't knock him out. Yeah, he
Yeah.
cracks him in the jaw and then grabs the scepter and hits him with the scepter and knocks him
Which
out.
somehow does knock him out instead of like turning him to a brainwashed whatever.
Well,
but-
I believe
it
it's
has to do
probably-
with the
Once
way
again-
who's controlling it and how they want to use it.
It's a matter of intent.
oh, fair enough.
Because it's
That
an
makes
Infinity
sense.
Stone. I'm sure it's intent
Yeah.
more than it
And
is
it's a
like
mind
basic
stone.
function.
Obviously, it's what you think when you snap. Yes.
Yeah,
got it.
because then they meet up at an alleyway when Ant-Man and Tony
yeah,
Stark.
and then they
failed.
realize that
So
they fucked
Yeah.
up on one of the stones, and they got to go back. Then
To get the
did we go
Tesseract.
right? Did we go right back there, or did we cut
No,
to
we moved on
War
to
Machine in Nebula?
Yeah, we cut to
Yeah.
War Machine and Nebula stopping off at Morag.
Yeah,
now this was a great one.
and then Nat and Clint flying off to
Vormir.
Vormir.
Vormir. The Morag was a great one just because there's a little bit more in depth to it because you do get
There's
the
a lot of shit
Guardians of the
that goes on
Galaxy.
Morag.
That's where you get to
Right.
meet Quill, and that's exactly what they make
Yeah.
a joke. Oh, so we're just supposed to wait around for the Star Lord or just Quill or whatever.
For the Quill guy to show up.
And he's like, "Oh, we should
then we
take
run.
cover." And then that's when you find out that they're like Thanos and Nebula and
That's where we get
Gamora
the
are searching
conflict
for the
and this
Infinity
time
Stones.
travel. And yes, Aram, I agree with your facial expressions. Let's hear it.
I don't know if I totally cared for the way they have
They needed
the
something,
reveal.
though.
Like they needed something, but the fact that
know.
like old Nebula was running on the same network that the
Yeah.
current Nebula, I didn't care for it per se, but I
It was-
couldn't think of a better way to do it.
Me neither.
I agree. I think that it was something that you just go, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, I can't think of a better way to do it, but I didn't care for
It-
what they did.
It seemed a little bit of a kind of cop out.
What
But-
exactly? But
And they basically
they
neutralize.
do
all-
cop out a lot
They
in this
do.
film.
But
Just
They-
keep
can
it
accept
going
it.
forward, and it's very entertaining.
yeah, I
And
would
it's
only-
fine. It's
I would
fine.
only argue that they neutralize.
But this is my
all-
biggest cop out gripe. Sorry.
I would only argue that the reason I have a problem with this is they basically neutralize Nebula as all her character growth. They neutralize that for a time.
Yeah.
It's not even permanent, but like they neutralize her as that character, and like I think it was just the fact that I liked the way the character was developing. I didn't like that they
Yeah.
went back.
The only
And
thing
that's just a preference.
the only
thing.
thing that this does is it plays a big part coming up in a little bit.
Yes.
So
yeah,
it makes sense at
And
that
our part
part 'cause
two-
it's a huge part.
Oh
at
my
this
god!
point.
I don't know if we're ever gonna finish this episode, but yeah, we eventually gonna have a part two. We'll talk about that then.
Yeah, so in this one, this is where we're getting the Power Stone, which is what was in Guardians of the Galaxy. And I
Yeah.
do love that you see Peter Quill
I know.
doing his dancing.
When they
Intro where he's
pan out,
dancing.
when they
So
pan
he's a-
out and
he's a
there's no
moron.
music and he's just
So he's
dancing.
an idiot. Yes.
Yeah.
And then they knock him out. I love
Yeah,
it.
with one punch. They just knocked him out with
bam.
one punch too.
Oh,
I love
it
it.
was a very intercepting punch, so it made sense to me. But yeah.
But I
But
do like
the other
the
thing-
comment that they make when Nebula reaches in and grabs the Power Stone case out of the thing, and then she's down to her metal, Terminator
Oh
hands.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I wasn't always like this," or something. And then he's like, "Hey, we gotta deal with what we got."
Yeah.
We-
Oh
use what we
yeah.
got.
That's
'Cause
what made me
he's got the-
realize
Yeah, because he's got the implants.
Yeah,
pairing those two up
that's perfect.
was a good choice on the writer's point. Yeah, that was
It's-
a good thing.
It's
Yeah.
robotic humanizing.
Like exact.
Yeah,
Yeah, War
sure.
Machine's not nearly on her level, but I wrote
But
that
he
down.
needs
I
the
was like,
bracers. Yep.
that was a good choice to put those two together
Yeah.
because of that shit.
Yep.
Yeah,
Same-
and they had one line to explain it, and then moved on.
And then
I
same
liked
with
it.
Rocket and Thor
yes,
because
yes.
they're both
We-
lost everything.
they've always Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of everybody,
Yeah.
they're the ones that
They
lost
have
the
that
most.
They have that same connection that they do in Infinity War.
Yeah.
Like that's where that connection starts to build.
And then Natasha and Clint, because they love each other. This family.
Natasha.
Oh
and
yeah,
Clint,
that was obvious. But yeah, they made exactly my
Smart
point.
choices.
They made very smart choices for connecting characters on these missions.
Yeah.
Do we go to Asgard after?
I
Nebula?
don't know.
I don't know that we're even going in order at this point. We're
Let's
just
just
going
go to the
to
next
missions
one.
themselves.
So the Power Stone, because we're gonna have to wrap this up. The Power
Oh my
Stone
God,
is what we
we're
got.
so fucked.
Nebula ends up staying behind after Rhodey disappeared because of her malfunction in her brain and stuff like that. So that is kind of important. But to move on, let's talk about the Asgard. So Thor and Rocket goes to Asgard, and that's where they're
To get
trying
the
to
ether.
extract the ether from Jane Foster.
Jane. That's
Most importantly,
I just called her-
Rockets.
I almost called her Jodie, and I was like, Jodie Foster's not in this movie.
No, they made fun of
No.
that
Oh yeah,
in Love and Thunder.
yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, when Rocket slaps Thor, I fucking love
So-
it. He's, come here. Bam!
this
Everybody's lost somebody. What the
Yeah.
fuck do you think we're doing here? Like
Yeah.
that captain dialogue from Rocket once again. He steps up when he needs to with such perfect Captain America speeches.
now
And I love it.
I wanted to mention this earlier, but I kind of forgot that we missed Rocket's emotional beat, and that was when he sits down when Tony Stark comes out of the ship
Yeah.
and he sits
he
down.
held hands with Nebula.
held hands. We didn't talk
lumped
about
it
that,
together, but I spoke.
but
of
that
it.
was his emotional beat,
yeah.
and it was
All right, there we go.
it was beautiful.
Check.
So yeah,
The- So, Asgard is interesting because you get Thor and you get the understanding that Thor is full of doubt at this point. Like he doesn't.
Oh yeah.
He's taken the fact that he failed so to heart that he doesn't think that he's worth a shit anymore in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of that from the conversation he has, like when he's at New Asgard, but you really get it here, and then you have
Yeah, when he's willing to give up and
yeah, he's full of
And
self
you
doubt.
have the-
Created an
he's full of self
insecurity.
doubt. You have the conversation
that's why I
between Rocket.
appreciate the Rocket slap.
Yeah.
But what I think was more an emotional beat for me is when his mother and him talk.
Yep.
That's
where I was
When
going.
him and his mother.
That was just a setup.
That's where I was going.
The Rocket was, yeah.
That moment
the
where he
bit between
sees
him
his
and his
mom
mother.
just walking in the hallway, and he just
I lo-
pauses.
There
Rockstar.
there are two emotional beats in this movie that have to do with getting closure with your parents. This is one of them. We'll get to the other one in a minute.
Yep.
But like this is like but the talk about not being worth, like being a failure, not being worthy. She's like, did you are you an idiot? No. Are you a failure? Yes. You know what that
Yeah.
makes you? Like everyone else.
Yeah.
Everyone fails at stuff.
But he says, "I'm not supposed to be like everybody else."
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
that's just not how life works. And then her denying to be told her future, I
yeah.
also appreciated. I love that show. And I love this actress. I've
Renee
said it
Russo?
before on
Renee Russo?
She's
I
great.
love her so
Renee
much.
Russo's a great actress.
She is fucking just top notch all around.
And there's something about her playing this mother figure to Thor.
Yeah. It's so important.
Just she embodies
it was
something.
such a
Oh,
it was
ethereal.
a fucking
She's so motherly.
it was
Yeah.
a Judd Apatow casting choice. Perfect.
When she puts her hand and she realizes it's not the same Thor, and she's like, "No, the future hasn't been kind to you, has it?"
So I didn't say I was
Like,
from the future.
That her
So
just
when
saying
he
that, I was like,
tears
"Ah,
up-
that hurts."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I got the tears. That was so
honestly, I don't know if it's just me and my innate ability to empathize, but man, I teared up when she hugged him
Oh,
because
I had
could
tears
just-
rolling down my
I could
cheeks
just
with
feel
this
the
whole
sadness and the happiness at the same time, and I
Yep.
I don't know. It's beautiful. I really like
It
this
was.
this scene because of that. And this would be
Yes.
my I don't know. I think this would be my second favorite scene with Extraction, but it had nothing to do with the stone. It was just that
Right.
emotional part.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's two emotional beats with dealing with closure with your parents. This one hit me harder than the other one did.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. And I also liked the little joke when he reaches out for the hammer. He
This one
closes
is
his
better than
eyes.
the other one.
He's like,
Oh yeah, this takes a second.
Yeah.
what's he doing?
When she's saying when they're saying
Something-
goodbye, and she's like, "Goodbye, trust yourself, eat a salad."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eat a salad. All right, well, moving on to, let's say, Morag. No, we already did that one. Sorry.
Oh, we just did. You
Vol-
want to do Vormir?
Volmir.
Or do we want to do the other parent part first? No, we have to do the
let's
other parent
let's
part.
just do Vormir.
All right.
No,
What was the parent part?
Vormig's the final one.
Okay. So the other half of the Tesseract, Tony and Steve have figured
Yeah.
out another place where they can go to get Pym particles so that they don't get stranded,
Yep.
and to find the Tesseract. They go back to 1970.
Yep.
So they can get the fucking stone and get a way back.
Yep.
And
More
Pym
Pym
particles so they can get back. 'Cause,
And-
Pym-
yeah,
yeah.
It was the same place that Captain
Sorry,
America
you already-
was
yeah.
trained
the
at
same camp. Yep.
with Tommy Lee Jones.
And mainly, all that goes fucking smoothly without a hitch or whatever it's called. It said, and then you get a father-son moment, which is important
It
with
is.
the
It is.
with Tony, but it doesn't land as much as.
I agree. There's something about it
lands
that just kind of irked
It's
me.
not as hard hitting as the one between Thor and his mother.
And to be fair, I think Tony Stark has a concussion from being hit by a Hulk still, so it's okay.
I felt that way too. He just seemed. I don't know. It
And
just felt
I
off.
hope they did that
Yeah.
on purpose because he was off his rocker. But obviously, I'm joking, and I think he was just so like starstruck.
aback.
Yeah.
taken back, but in a sense because we all know his father issues
his
are
dad's been dead for how long?
the most.
True.
Yeah,
And he didn't get over
But his
it, which
love
is
for
why
his-
it was a
yeah.
conclusion to.
Yeah,
his
exactly.
parent or
So
his father.
that in that regard, that was cool. But all right, hurry along is how I felt. Like I know everything's gonna go.
Other than Captain America seeing Peggy,
Peggy, there it is.
that was
Yeah.
a beautiful moment too.
And
It was
that's-
creepy.
Agreed.
It really
It was
was.
Well, it also sets up the ending.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
shut
we'll get
your
into
mouth.
that next.
Yeah.
We'll get into
Shut
that
your
next
whore
episode.
mouth.
All right, now let's go to
Volmir.
Vormir.
Vormir. Yeah.
All right. All right, this is the
VRMIR,
final
Vormir.
mission.
This
Final mission.
I'm glad this was the last one because this
Me
was
too.
the most impactful
It's the
one.
only way to edit it. Yeah.
Oh,
but-
for sure.
And we had Natasha, we had Clint, and they're going up the mountain where Thanos threw Gamora off. So we already understand what
Yeah.
has to happen.
Is this the Death Stone? Or
This is the
Life
Soul Stone.
What's it
Spirits,
called?
or Soul Stone spirits.
Soul Stone.
Soul Stone, yeah. And I loved that we have the Red Skull still there. He comes
Yeah.
back.
Yep. He's condemned to do
condemned,
it for
yep.
eternity. So
And I like that he said Natasha, daughter of Ivan, and Clint,
Yeah.
son of
Oh.
Ether, I don't remember her name.
Edith.
Yeah.
Edith.
And that played a big part because it solidified the severity of what's going on. And these two don't understand this world. This isn't their world.
No.
You know,
They don't.
They're tactical.
They're
military.
regular humans.
Yeah.
Even the
They don't have
information
powers.
they
They're not
have.
gods. They're people.
Yeah.
Even the information they have about what happened with Thanos and Gamora, all they know is Gamora and him went to this, and Gamora didn't come back.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
all they know. So for them
Actually,
to get the
I
full
don't think they even know
I don't
that.
think they know who
Natasha
Gamora
knows
is.
Fuck all
Yeah.
about that Gamora is gone.
Nebula said that.
Oh.
She said it all
Yeah,
right.
yeah, that's right. She did. She's like, oh, that's
Oh,
where
yeah.
he killed my
That's
sister.
all.
Yeah.
That's the only information they have. So when they get there and they realize the details, like, oh, that's what happened.
Because it's a soul for a soul.
Yeah, exactly. And then the one joke is you want to listen to this guy because he knows your father's name or some shit.
She said,
Yeah,
well,
he
I
said-
didn't.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I mean. That was the pinpoint where it was a moment of severity. Like they understood, like she
Yeah.
understood, I should say, that she didn't know her father's name, but this guy did. So this is something otherworldly. This is something that they're
It's
not.
something to be taken
Yes.
seriously,
Yes.
not lightly.
And that's what Clint was trying to do, and she wasn't. Yeah, it was beautiful. But the greatest thing was
Became
that
personal.
was the battle. Who
Oh,
sacrifices who?
Fighting who gets to, yeah.
And I
And
loved.
it was more of an emotional battle than a fist. and a
Yes.
kick.
And I loved that they balanced it
it
both
was
out between the
so-
fight and the mental, the emotional.
Yeah.
And I love that Clint's like, I'm starting to think that we're thinking of the wrong thing here. And I just,
Yeah.
I don't know, because both of them have so
Oh.
much to sacrifice for, but so much to fight for.
And which was beautiful because they didn't really flesh out these characters and their relationship more than they had to. They did it very just enough, but if they would have done it a little bit more, I probably would be fucking crying
Right?
in this scene. But they did it
weren't?
just what?
Even I
No,
wasn't.
no.
It was,
No, but they did it just enough to make it very powerful.
Yes, it was-
Don't get
it
me
was
wrong. I
powerful.
was captivated. I was jaw dropping. I fucking had to wipe my lips.
was-
I was drooling a
it
bit.
was almost one of those that goes like, ooh. Not necessarily
Yeah.
emotional, like, oh,
Yeah.
but it was just like a,
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah.
That was heavy.
It was
That's a big
it was
shit.
Clint's reaction after the fact, like once he's got the stone.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not
We
even him
already-
hanging.
we
him
already
hanging
saw that
there and
with
like being
Thanos.
upset, like it's whatever. But like, no, it's Clint's reaction to when
Yeah.
he's got the stone. When he figures out that like it worked.
Yeah.
No, like she's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because now his
losing
logic
to
is
a
gone.
guy.
It reminded me why Hawkeye season finale is probably
Yeah.
one of the best. But yeah, we'll get there.
That's
Did
all
you
the
just
stones,
get a
right?
chef's kiss, Tim? Did you just say chef's kiss?
Was that all?
agree.
That's all the stones, right?
Let's
Yeah.
let's end it here, and we can pick up part 2 when they get back into reality.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the end. Like all what they do is
This
they
is
all
the
come
end.
together.
Yeah.
They
There's
come
no
back into
reason
the
to
station.
ta-
Yep.
Yeah.
Or they're.
Yeah. Let's
whatever.
stop here then.
That's where we're stopping.
And
That's an hour and
all right,
55
then.
minutes in.
Oh my God. Good call on making this a part 1 and 2 because
Right.
we broke down so much more than I
This
thought.
is
we were
already like
going
a
to.
2.5 hour
broke
episode.
down scenes. I'm gonna break down next episode. I'll fucking tear up on the fucking final half of this.
I'm
movie,
not
I'll tell you
ready
what.
for the next episode.
Be prepared for us to cry on air.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking stupid. But it's getting late. This has been great,
Yep.
and fucking A.
Yeah. Well,
Let's do it.
that has been part 1 of Avengers Endgame, and stay tuned for part 2. We'll catch you later.
Ah,
Peace.
bye. Hurt feelings make me laugh.